Chapter 759. Ning Shu's neck was being choked by Feng Yin. Her entire body seemed to be frozen and she couldn't move. She didn't understand why Feng Yin liked to choke people. Perhaps it was because he felt a sense of accomplishment when he saw a life disappear from his fingertips. He was the master of all lives. Seeing Feng Yin's mouth open and close, Ning Shu activated the qi in his dantian. He reached into the cloth bag and took out the soul pearl, stuffing it into Feng Yin's mouth. Feng Yin felt something suddenly stuffed into his mouth. He reached out with his other hand to take out the thing in his mouth. The soul pearl absorbed soul energy. It sensed a strong soul energy and stuck to Feng Yin's mouth. Then, it rushed into Feng Yin's body. Feng Yin felt that the soul pearl was absorbing his soul. He was furious. Even though Feng Yin's body was covered by the soul pearl, he still didn't let go of Ning Shu's neck. Ning Shu felt like her lungs were about to explode. Her blood couldn't flow and her face was swollen. If this continued, she would really be finished. Grr. The old man held the peachwood sword in his hand. Ning Shu and Feng Yin rushed over, but Uncle Master Gu held them back. Don't go over. Their magnetic fields are very chaotic. Even if you go over, you won't be able to save her, Uncle Master Gu said in a low voice. His expression was very ugly. Fuck you. It's not your disciple who's being choked. Of course you're not worried. The old man was very anxious. Even if you go over now, you won't be able to get close. Uncle Master Gu was still holding on to the old man's Taoist robe. Ning Shu's vision started to blur. Fortunately, there was spirit energy in her body. Ning Shu made a chuckling sound in her throat. She spat out 3 words with difficulty. Song Shihan. When Feng Yin heard this name, he turned to look in the direction of the bedroom. He realized that the door was locked. Ning Shu seized the opportunity and slashed the peachwood sword at Feng Yin's wrist. Feng Yin's hand trembled. Ning Shu took out the compass with her other hand and used all her strength to smash it at Feng Yin's head. The compass emitted a golden light, causing Feng Yin to take 2 steps back. Cough, cough, cough. Ning Shu covered his neck and coughed violently. The old man quickly came over and stuck a talisman on Ning Shu's body. Ning Shu grabbed a handful of glutinous rice and pressed it against his neck. Sizzling sounds could be heard as black smoke rose from it. Feng Yin's face was dripping with blood. The blood dripped onto the floor, and the room was filled with the sticky stench of blood. Feng Yin's soul was even thinner than before. He looked at Ning Shu and the other 2 sinisterly with bloodshot eyes. Ning Shu held the compass in his hand and channeled his spirit qi into it. The compass glowed with a golden light. Feng Yin looked warily at the compass in Ning Shu's hand. He still had to divert some of his energy to resist the bead in his body. This unknown bead was absorbing his soul energy, like a leech sucking blood, sticking to his body. The light from the compass grew brighter, dispersing the yin qi in the room. A golden dragon whizzed out of the compass and charged at Feng Yin. Do you see that? This is something left behind by the ancestral master. It's a golden dragon made from the dragon vein energy. Do you see that? Do you see that? The old man said smugly to Uncle Master Gu. Uncle Master Gu looked at the golden dragon in surprise. He sneered and said, "It's not like you made it. A great master produces a great disciple. This is called the pupil surpassing the master." The old man stroked his beard and was extremely smug. Ning Shu saw that the 2 old men were still bickering even at a time like this. He said in a hoarse voice, "Master, let's attack him together. He won't be able to hold on any longer." Ning Shu glanced in the direction of the bedroom and shouted, "He's about to turn into ashes." Indeed, in the next moment, Song Shihan quickly opened the bedroom door and saw a golden dragon colliding with Feng Yin's soul. Feng Yin's body faded at a speed visible to the naked eye. Song Shihan's heart trembled violently as she hurriedly ran to Feng Yin's side. Feng Yin's face was dripping with blood. His expression was cold as he said, "Go into the room." Feng Yin, Feng Yin. Song Shihan cried out Feng Yin's name as tears streamed down her face. Feng Yin pushed Song Shihan into his body, afraid that Ning Shu and company would hurt her. Feng Yin forced himself to calm down and said to Song Shihan, "I'm fine." Song Shihan tugged on Feng Yin's long sleeve tightly as she glared at Ning Shu and company. Don't go too far. Ning Shu touched his neck. Damn, why didn't you see when Feng Yin killed people? When others wanted to deal with Feng Yin, you immediately said that they were going too far. That was fucking going too far. Double standards. Ning Shu took out a stack of talisman papers and threw them at Feng Yin. Feng Yin had to protect Song Shihan's body, so he blocked the talisman papers alone. The moment the talisman papers came into contact with his soul started to fade. Although the talismans were of little use and couldn't cause much harm to Feng Yin, their quantity could reach the level of quality. Enough ants could kill an elephant. When Song Shihan saw this scene, she became even more anxious. She said to Feng Yin, "Let's go first." Song Shihan glared at Ning Shu fiercely. Let's not be calculative with these stupid Taoist priests. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. These Taoist priests were all here for the Ghost King elixir in her body. Blood kept dripping from Feng Yin's face, dripping onto the floor and his red clothes. When he heard Song Shihan's words, he looked at the compass in Ning Shu's hand and the unknown bead in his soul. This bead was absorbing his energy. If this continued, his soul energy would really be absorbed by this bead. Something that could even absorb the 9 yin flames. Feng Yin was filled with fear of this black bead, especially when it was still in his body. It was like an undetachable bomb strapped to his body. Feng Yin also wanted to retreat. He had an idea in his mind, and that was to take the pearl in his body for his own use. It could even absorb the 9 yin astral flames. If he could obtain such an item, his strength would definitely increase by a lot. Now that Song Shihan was by his side, he had to protect her and couldn't move freely. Feng Yin hugged Song Shihan and prepared to retreat. However, just as he flew out of the house, something seemed to block his head and he couldn't leave the apartment. Ning Shu sneered. How could the immortal binding array escape so easily? This time, no matter what, he had to destroy Feng Yin. This time, if he ran away and hid in the dark, he wouldn't be able to find him. That would be endless trouble. The immortal binding array sucked away all the spirit qi in Ning Shu's body, causing his dantian to throb with pain. Feng Yin tried a few times but couldn't get out. His pupils constricted and he couldn't help but rage. Song Shihan hurriedly asked, Feng Yin, what's going on? We can't get out, Feng Yin said in a low voice. Then what should we do? Song Shihan was on the verge of tears. Although she was anxious, her face was still pale, without a trace of blood. Feng Yin hugged Song Shihan tightly. I won't let anything happen to you. Chapter 760. Feng Yin and Song Shihan were trapped in the room by the immortal binding array. The two old men saw this as a good opportunity, so they used all sorts of Taoist spells and methods. Some of the tricks were useless against Feng Yin, but they were useful against the half-human, half-ghost Song Shihan. Just a little exorcism was enough to make Song Shihan feel terrible. For example, Uncle Master Gu used glutinous rice and a boy's urine to splash on Song Shihan. When it splashed on her skin began to smoke and rot as though it had been splashed with sulfuric acid. Song Shihan covered her festering skin and couldn't help but cry out. Feng Yin was fighting Ning Shu and the old man. He had to deal with all sorts of attacks. When he heard Song Shihan's voice, he immediately went into a daze and blocked the attacks for her. The glutinous rice and boy's urine splashed on Feng Yin's soul, causing his body to emit a thick black aura. The baleful Yin aura leaked out of his body uncontrollably. Ning Shu held the peachwood sword and took the old man's finger. He bit the old man's finger and smeared the blood on the peachwood sword. Ning Shu chanted an incantation and the peachwood sword flew towards Feng Yin. It pierced through Feng Yin's soul, causing it to fade. Ning Shu conjured another incantation and the peachwood sword spun in the air before stabbing at Feng Yin again. This time, Feng Yin pulled Song Shihan and dodged. However, the peachwood sword brushed past Song Shihan's face, leaving a bloody mark. However, no blood flowed out. Song Shihan covered her face as her face turned paler. She clutched Feng Yin's clothes tightly, not knowing what to do. Clearly, Feng Yin's current situation made Song Shihan even more helpless. Song Shihan relied on Feng Yin, the omnipotent Feng Yin. Now, Feng Yin couldn't take her away and was being chased by 3 Taoists. This made Song Shihan very anxious. She could only stick close to Feng Yin. However, Feng Yin's current situation was very bad. He was being attacked one after another and had to protect Song Shihan. He was being restrained in every way. He would rather be injured than see Song Shihan get injured and cause his soul to weaken. The soul pearl in his body was absorbing his strength. The weaker Feng Yin was, the faster the soul pearl would absorb him. Ning Shu straightened her face and stopped probing Feng Yin. The immortal binding array could not be maintained for long. If this dragged on and Feng Yin escaped, she might fail her mission. Ning Shu took out the compass and poured the spirit qi in his body into the compass. The compass erupted with an intense golden light and 2 golden dragons roared out. Feng Yin's face was so dark that water could be squeezed out of it. His pupils trembled as he watched the 2 golden dragons whizzing towards him. The living room was only so big, and he didn't know where to run to. The living room was a mess, and many things were broken in the fight. Feng Yin pushed Song Shihan away, intending to take on the 2 golden dragons head-on. Feng Yin's body emitted a dense yin qi, intending to corrode the 2 golden dragons. The golden dragons charged towards Feng Yin without a care. With a loud boom, the golden dragon crashed into Feng Yin's soul. Feng Yin! Song Shihan cried out mournfully. Feng Yin! Ning Shu saw that Feng Yin's soul had become very transparent after being hit by the golden dragons. Song Shihan wanted to hug him, but her hand passed through his body. Feng Yin's body was no longer as solid as before. He was now so weak that he couldn't even withstand a single blow. Song Shihan cried out Feng Yin's name with all her might. She wanted to hug him, but she hugged nothing. Song Shihan's eyes were red, and there was an intense uneasiness in them. Her face was contorted. Feng Yin's soul was getting fainter and fainter. The soul pearl in his soul was crazily absorbing Feng Yin's strength. Feng Yin's eyes were also starting to blur. His lips moved, but he couldn't say a word. He was so weak now that he couldn't communicate with anyone. Feng Yin, don't leave me. Song Shihan wailed, her body filled with despair and helplessness. Feng Yin wanted to reach out and touch Song Shihan's face to wipe away her tears, but his hand passed through her face. Ning Shu looked at the scene in front of him expressionlessly. He held the talisman between his fingers, and the talisman flew towards Feng Yin. It stuck to Feng Yin's body, and instantly, Feng Yin's soul became transparent. In the end, it was completely absorbed by the soul pearl. Feng Yin disappeared. He didn't even have time to say a word to Song Shihan. The soul pearl floated in the air, and it became even darker. Ning Shu reached out his hand, and the soul pearl flew into his palm. Ning Shu held the soul pearl and heaved a sigh of relief. Feng Yin was finally gone. Song Shihan stared blankly as the soul pearl flew into Ning Shu's hand. She crazily rushed over to Ning Shu. Give me the soul pearl. Feng Yin is inside. Give it to me, give it to me. Song Shihan's face was filled with tears. She wanted to snatch the soul pearl from Ning Shu's hand like a madwoman. Ning Shu pushed Song Shihan away, and she fell to the ground. Her face was filled with hatred. You killed Feng Yin. You killed my Feng Yin. Song Shihan's eyes were bloodshot, and blood-red veins appeared on her face. You people! Why did you kill Feng Yin? I want to be with Feng Yin. So what if I'm with a ghost? Ning Shu put away the compass and soul pearl. His body was exhausted. The dark yin qi had entered his body, and he felt like he couldn't even lift his hand. I want to avenge Feng Yin, you murderers! Song Shihan's eyes became even redder, and a strong dark yin qi emerged from her body. You people who killed Feng Yin will all die a horrible death. The blood-red veins on Song Shihan's face became denser. She floated up, and her hair flew in the wind. Long, sharp black nails grew out of her hands. Oh no, she's going to turn into a ghost, the old man exclaimed. She's activating the power of the Ghost King elixir. Ning Shu didn't say anything. He picked up his peachwood sword, grabbed Song Shihan's ankle, and pulled her down. Ning Shu pressed down on Song Shihan's body, and the peachwood sword stabbed into Song Shihan's heart. Black, sticky blood spurted out. Ah! Song Shihan screamed. Her blood-red eyes stared at Ning Shu, and her long, black nails dug into Ning Shu's body. Ning Shu was in excruciating pain. The old man took a knife and cut off Song Shihan's wrist. Song Shihan's face twisted in pain, and a strong dark yin qi exploded from her body. Uncle Master Gu took a knife and cut off Song Shihan's neck. Even with her neck cut off, Song Shihan's body was still moving. Her severed head rolled to the side, but she was still talking. "You murderers, I want to avenge Feng Yin." The body that Ning Shu was pressing down on grew stronger and stronger. It actually flipped Ning Shu over, and the headless body stood up. She picked up her head and put it back on her neck. The hand that had been cut off by the old man was also reattached, and it was in perfect condition. Ning Shu? Degree? Damn, what was going on? Why couldn't he kill Song Shihan? Chapter 761. Song Shihan, who had a negative combat power of 5, had activated the power of the Ghost King elixir after Feng Yin's death. Now, she had become an unkillable monster. Even a broken arm, broken leg, and a decapitated head could be reattached. This made Ning Shu kneel and write the word admiration in capital letters. "Master, what do we do now?" Ning Shu was exhausted. He had killed Feng Yin, but Song Shihan had turned into a ghost and couldn't be killed. This mission had progressed from killing Feng Yin to killing Feng Yin and his wife. She had already used all her skills to kill Feng Yin. Now, Song Shihan was involved. Her power comes from the Ghost King elixir. With the Ghost King elixir, she's immortal. The old man frowned. She's not easy to deal with. Now, Song Shihan's threat was no less than Feng Yin's. So now, there was another Song Shihan who could rival Feng Yin? Song Shihan's face couldn't be looked at anymore. Her meridians were covered in blood. She looked at Ning Shu with bloodshot eyes. "You killed Feng Yin. What right do you have to kill Feng Yin? I want you dead. Give me back my Feng Yin." Song Shihan's bloodshot eyes were bleeding, making her face look terrifying. Song Shihan looked at Ning Shu. "You approached me on purpose. You didn't have good intentions from the beginning. What right do you have to kill my Feng Yin? What right do you have?" Song Shihan kept shouting, "What right?" As she spoke, the yin energy in the living room became thicker. Ning Shu pursed his lips and didn't say anything. What was the point of talking about this? He might as well rest and prepare for battle. She was in pain all over. Her muscles were strained and her dantian was throbbing. Black smoke was rising from the places where Song Shihan's fingernails had pierced. Waves of yin energy were invading her body. Song Shihan walked over to Ning Shu and said in a hoarse voice, "Give me the pearl. Feng Yin is inside. Give me the pearl." Ning Shu held the peachwood sword with both hands and looked at Song Shihan coldly. She couldn't have thought that Feng Yin could come out of the spirit pearl, right? That was impossible. The spirit pearl was filled with pure soul energy, but it could only go in and not out. Feng Yin had no consciousness now. It was just pure soul energy. Feng Yin no longer existed. Song Shihan screamed at the top of her lungs, "Give me the bead, give it to me." Song Shihan screamed as tears streamed down her face. She was in despair. "I'm going to kill you, kill you." Without Feng Yin, what would she do? Feng Yin was her entire life. Without Feng Yin, she would have endless years. What was the point of living? Only Feng Yin doted on her wholeheartedly, loved her, and doted on her. She thought that there would never be a man like Feng Yin who would love her again. She also loved someone. Song Shihan felt hopeless. She was already used to having Feng Yin by her side. He was strong and reliable. "Feng Yin, Feng Yin, Feng..." Song Shihan screamed in her heart. Ning Shu gripped the peachwood sword tightly, taking the initiative to stab Song Shihan's abdomen. All of Song Shihan's power came from the Ghost King Dan. As long as the Ghost King Dan was gone, she would naturally dissipate into thin air. Song Shihan was stabbed in the abdomen by the peachwood sword, but she didn't care at all. She grabbed Ning Shu's cloth bag, only wanting the spirit pearl in Ning Shu's cloth bag. Ning Shu grabbed the talisman paper and stuck it on Song Shihan's body, causing her body to emit black gas. However, she didn't care and stubbornly tried to snatch the cloth bag. Ning Shu said coldly, "Let me tell you, Feng Yin has lost his consciousness. He will never come back to life. He has already become one with this bead. He has become pure energy." Song Shihan was in a daze. She muttered to herself, "Impossible, this is impossible. This is impossible. Feng Yin couldn't have left me. It's impossible." Song Shihan's eyes flowed with tears of blood. She looked extremely miserable. The old man and Uncle Master Gu held down Song Shihan's body. Song Shihan was immersed in the nightmare that Feng Yin would never come back. Her expression was lifeless and hopeless. The old man, Ning Shu, shouted, "Dig out the Ghost King elixir in her body. Quick, or she will slowly merge with the Ghost King elixir's power and become stronger and stronger." Ning Shu took a dagger and cut open Song Shihan's stomach. Song Shihan's organs were in a state where they had lost their vitality and were about to rot. "Let go of me, let go of me." Song Shihan struggled violently. Ning Shu finally found a white bead in her dantian. Ning Shu held the Ghost King elixir in his hand. "No, no." Song Shihan saw Ning Shu holding the Ghost King elixir that Feng Yin had given her. She immediately screamed, "This is what Feng Yin gave me. This is Feng Yin's." Song Shihan's stomach was cut open, but it didn't take long for it to heal. Clearly, there was still the power of the Ghost King elixir in Song Shihan's body, so she wouldn't die immediately. Song Shihan's body became shriveled. She reached out to take the Ghost King elixir in Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu said, "Let's go quickly." This was a lawful society. Even if they killed Song Shihan, they couldn't let others see her die at their hands. They couldn't let them be suspected. After leaving the house, Ning Shu strengthened the immortal binding array so that Song Shihan couldn't go out and harm others. There wasn't much power left in her body. After getting into the car, Ning Shu spat out a mouthful of black blood and fainted. "Girl," the old man shouted with heartache. He shouted to Uncle Master Gu, "Hurry up and drive back." Back at the villa, the old man carried Ning Shu on his back. "Daoist, you're back?" Xie Weiming saw Ning Shu faint and asked, "What happened?" The old man ignored Xie Weiming and put Ning Shu on the sofa. He took some glutinous rice and applied it to the wound caused by Song Shihan's fingernails. "Don't you have a lot of medicine? Can't you see that my disciple is injured and lying on the ground? Take out some medicine." The old man shouted at Uncle Master Gu. He was furious. "Do you still want the Ghost King elixir?" Uncle Master Gu didn't care about the old man's bad attitude. He took out several bottles of medicine. The old man dissolved the medicine with water and fed it to Ning Shu. The old man's hand trembled as he held the bowl. He looked worried. Xie Yuan saw that the atmosphere was so tense. She wanted to ask about it, but she didn't dare to. When Ning Shu woke up, her head was in severe pain. She couldn't move her body and didn't feel anything. Ning Shu suspected that she was paralyzed. There was an infusion stand beside the bed. The back of her hand was swollen and painful. At this time, the door opened and the old man came in with the medicine. Seeing that Ning Shu had woken up, the old man was very surprised. "Girl, you're awake." Ning Shu coughed. Her throat was swollen and painful, and her internal organs were in pain. "Don't move. You have to rest well. Come and drink the medicine." The old man brought the bowl to Ning Shu's mouth. Ning Shu felt that her mouth was dry, so she drank the entire bowl of medicine. Ning Shu asked, "Master, how long have I been sleeping? Where's Song Shihan?" "You heartless girl. You scared me. You've been sleeping for a week." The old man said, "Song Shihan is dead. Her body was found by the police. Does that have anything to do with us?" Ning Shu was more concerned about that. Chapter 762. This was a lawful society. If they were implicated in a death, it would be very troublesome. Previously, he had wanted to kill Feng Yin. After all, Feng Yin had died 1,000 years ago. It didn't matter if he was killed. But Song Shihan was different. Ning Shu didn't expect Song Shihan to turn into a ghost and become an immortal monster. He could only kill her. Song Shihan would become stronger and stronger. After losing Feng Yin, she would take revenge without restraint. He had to strike first to gain the upper hand. The old man put down the medicine bowl and said, "You are now a suspect." Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu felt that he shouldn't have woken up. He should go back to sleep. The old man said, "She didn't die immediately. She wrote a suicide note saying that you killed her." Ning Shu was speechless. She also said that the company worked with you to bully her. Now old Xie has a splitting headache. This suicide note is very harmful to his company. When the police came to find you, I said that you couldn't be the murderer. You were unconscious when something happened to you. How could you be the murderer? The old man said irritably. Master won't let anything happen to you. Ning Shu sighed. Song Shihan really hated him. Even if she died, she wouldn't let him have an easy time. She even dragged the Xie family's company down with her. What an ingrate! The company gave her a job and a salary to live. This was how they dealt with the Xie family. She probably hated the Xie family for hiring a Taoist priest and causing Feng Yin's death. She hated the Xie family as well. Ning Shu felt a headache coming on. But don't worry too much. The forensic doctor said that she has been dead for several months. Her body has already decomposed beyond recognition. The old man comforted Ning Shu. Song Shihan was half human and half ghost. She was only alive because of the Ghost King elixir. Without the support of the Ghost King elixir, her body would only decompose quickly. That was why the forensic doctor said that she had been dead for several months. But at that time, Ning Shu hadn't come to the Xie family yet. After Ning Shu woke up, he was called away by the police and interrogated. The police asked Ning Shu, "Why did you come to the Xie family? Why did you come to the company?" Ning Shu guessed that the police had already questioned other people before, and now they were only asking her to see if she was lying. Xie Weiming's son, Xie Yi, is possessed by a ghost. I'm here to treat him, Ning Shu said honestly. What era is it now? What ghost possession? The policeman said disdainfully. Ning Shu faintly said, I don't know if he's possessed by a ghost or not. Maybe it's a psychological effect, so I exorcised him. Ning Shu felt that the yin qi in the police station was quite heavy, but there was enough yang qi and the country's fate to suppress it, so it was in a relatively balanced state. The police officers looked at each other. After all, there was no direct evidence to prove that she had killed someone. The police officers took out a sealed envelope. Inside the sealed envelope was Song Shihan's suicide note. The victim, Song Shihan, said you killed her before she died, the policeman said. Ning Shu was a little speechless. I killed her. How did she write a suicide note? Besides, she's been dead for a few months, and it didn't say why I killed her. This suicide note can't be used as evidence to accuse me of murder, Ning Shu said faintly. There must be a motive for murder. Why would I kill her? What good would it do me? I'm a Taoist priest, and it's impossible for me to have an emotional relationship with her. Therefore, the police officers were helpless. They didn't have enough evidence to prove what Ning Shu said. Then, the employees of the Xie family company who visited the company said that they had seen Song Shihan not long ago, and that the company had a check-in record. The autopsy results showed that the body was from a few months ago, which meant that someone had used some means to decompose the body. What means did you use to decompose the body? Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu regretted not handling this matter properly, so that Song Shihan had the chance to do such a thing before she died. Therefore, in the future, he had to finish off the person who killed. He had to be decisive. Ning Shu said, I'm just a suspect now, not a murderer. I didn't kill Song Shihan. You'd better reinvestigate until you have enough evidence to accuse me of murder. Ning Shu wanted to say that Song Shihan was a ghost, but who would believe that? The police finally let Ning Shu go, but he was not allowed to leave the city. He could be interrogated at any time. Ning Shu walked out of the police station and saw Xie Yiyuan leaning against the car. Ning Shu walked over. How was it? What did the police ask you? Xie Yiyuan asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu got into the car and said, they implied that I killed Song Shihan. Xie Yiyuan said, it's okay. The Xie family will help you. Your company can't even protect itself, And you still have time to care about me. Thank you, Ning Shu said faintly. Xie Yuan suddenly said to Ning Shu, why don't we get married? Ning Shu thought, you're crazy. How is that possible? I'm going to be the head of Maoshan sect. How can I marry you? Ning Shu said elegantly and coldly, don't tell me you want me to help you find out which employee in the company has a ghost around him. Xie Yuan touched his nose, which made Ning Shu roll his eyes. It's really because of this incident. If you marry me, I'll help you this time, Xie Yuan said. Ning Shu grinned. He was indeed a businessman. He was good at everything. I'm a Taoist priest. How can a Taoist priest get married? I'll just catch ghosts when the monk hits the sky bell. Why should I get married? Ning Shu sneered. Xie Yuan wanted to use marriage to tie Tao Qin down and make her a treasure for free. Not long ago, he was still lamenting that he fell in love with Song Shihan at first sight. Song Shihan was the woman he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. Now that he was going to marry her, Ning Shu just wanted to give him a big slap in the face. How could he slap himself in the face like this? Moreover, he was so perfunctory and even used this as an exchange. It was a disguised threat. Ha! Ning Shu smirked sinisterly. Xie Yuan swallowed a mouthful of saliva and did not mention marriage again. When they returned to the villa, the old man immediately greeted Ning Shu and comforted him. It's okay. Master can handle this. Ning Shu looked at the old man with some suspicion. Could the old man handle it? What's with that look? When your master was young, he also knew a lot of dignitaries. He was an important guest of the powerful and influential. When the old man saw his disciple looking at him suspiciously, he immediately said, I've already contacted someone before. They'll definitely settle this matter. If not, there's still this damned old man. The old man pointed at Uncle Master Gu and said, this old man also knows a lot of people. Uncle Master Gu coughed. Cough your head. Do you still want the Ghost King elixir? This Ghost King elixir was painstakingly obtained by eldest girl, the old man said angrily. Uncle Master Gu said calmly, eldest girl is my junior. How can I leave her in the lurch? I've already contacted someone and there will be news soon. Chapter 763. Xie looked at her father with a complicated expression on her face when she saw that the two old men were about to resolve the matter. Xie Weiming and Xie Yuan shook their heads. Ning Shu said, Master, Xie Yuan said she wants to marry me. Xie Yuan, what the hell? The old man almost jumped up with a look of disbelief on his face. Even Martial Uncle Gu had a look of astonishment on his face. Kid, you won't be able to marry my disciple even in your next life. The old man sneered with a serious expression. He was old and shrewd, so he immediately understood what the Xie family was up to. The old man said coldly, you looked down on my disciple and didn't even tell me about it. You just told the child. Xie Weiming immediately said, Master, I'm just trying to see if there's anything between the children. As long as Tao Qin is willing to marry into my family, she won't suffer any grievances. Stop, hurry up and stop. The old man quickly waved his hand. My disciple is young and gullible. People in our line of work don't get married. Real Taoist priests don't get married. Xie Weiming said, Master, Tao Qin is a girl. She has to get married and have children. She will be the head of the North Maoshan sect in the future. Why would she get married? She has to take care of a big family and be lonely. She can't even make ends meet. As for children, there are plenty of children in the Taoist temple. My disciple is so talented. How can she be your daughter-in-law? People in this line of work who reveal the secrets of heaven are all alone. They can't get married. Don't get any ideas if you don't want to die. The old man pointed at Martial Uncle Gu and said, ask him if he's married. The old man snorted coldly. Ning Shu said, pack up your things and get ready to go back. I wonder how the children are doing at home. Master, don't be angry. Xie Weiming said, we were too rude. I'm just angry. The old man said bluntly, give me the reward this time. Xie Weiming shook his head helplessly and took out the check. The old man said, I don't want the check. Transfer the money to my account. It's no trouble at all. Go up and pack your things. What are you waiting for? The old man Ning Shu said. Ning Shu immediately went upstairs to get his cloth bag and changed into the old-fashioned clothes he wore when he came to the city. Downstairs, Ning Shu's martial uncle Go asked, "Martial uncle, are you coming with us?" The Ghost King Dawn that martial uncle Go wanted were still in Ning Shu's hands, so naturally he would go with Ning Shu. He nodded and said, "I'll go with you, see you off." Xie Yuan's expression was complicated. When Ning Shu walked over, the old man immediately stood in front of Ning Shu. "Kid, don't come near my disciple." Xie Yuan stopped in his tracks. Ning Shu said, "Thank you for saving me." Ning Shu said, "It's just business." Ning Shu and the other two left the villa and booked a room at the hotel. They would only leave after this matter was settled. The old man went to the bank to check the accounts and took Ning Shu to buy some clothes for the children at home. It was getting colder every day, so they bought several bags of warm clothes. Someone from the top said that this matter was left unsettled. There was no evidence at all, and even the case was closed. Song Shihan's family went to the Xie family, crying and yelling that they wanted the Xie family to pay with their lives. The Xie family gritted their teeth and gave them a sum of money. The old man knew about this and said faintly, "It's fate to be poor. When the money is gone, people will be happy. Using money to solve the problem is the best result." When they could leave the city, the old man took Ning Shu back to the Taoist temple. Ning Shu gave the Ghost King Dawn to martial uncle Go. Looking at the snow-white Ghost King Dawn, martial uncle Go couldn't help but smile. He gave Ning Shu a few bottles of medicine. "These are 100-year-old ginseng pills. There are other pills that are good for your health. Take them." Ning Shu took the bottles and said, "Thank you, martial uncle Go." The old man looked at him and snorted. "You want to exchange a few bottles of medicine for a Ghost King Dawn? Ghost King Dawn are hard to come by in 1,000 years. Old man Go, you are bullying my disciple." Martial uncle Go said, "If you have any problems in the future, come to me. If I can help you, I will." The old man straightened his neck and said, "It's not right for an elder to protect the younger generation. The Ghost King Dawn are not something you can take. Who knows how many ghosts want the Ghost King Dawn in your hands? I hope you can safely return to your nest and don't die on the way. You don't have to worry about that." Martial uncle Go said calmly, "I bought some things for the younger generation. Take them back." Martial uncle Go said as he took a few bags of things from the car and gave them to Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at the old man. "Master?" "Take them. He has too much money to burn anyway. We are helping him." The old man said. Ning Shu was speechless. The old man was so pretentious. But this was how they got along, mocking each other. Martial uncle Go put the Ghost King Dawn in a good peachwood box and stuck a talisman on the box. The old man rolled his eyes and said, "Use your blood to draw a talisman. You only know how to take pills all day and don't know how to learn." The old man deliberately cut Martial Uncle G's finger. The cut was a little deep. The old man dipped his finger in Martial Uncle G's blood and drew a talisman on the box. Martial Uncle Go looked at the old man and pressed the wound on his finger. Martial Uncle Go waved to Ning Shu and the old man, then got on the bus and left. Ning Shu dragged a lot of things onto the bus. "That girl." The old man looked at Ning Shu with a conflicted expression. Ning Shu asked, "Master, what's wrong? Do you like that kid from the Xie family?" The old man asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu shook his head. "No, that's not it. That's right. Even if you want to get married, you won't marry into the Xie family. Businessmen value profits. That kid from the Xie family wants to marry you because you're useful. You'll only suffer if you marry into the wrong family," the old man said. "I just want to be by your side and be filial to you." Ning Shu had never thought of getting married. "Good child, do your job. If you're a monk, do your best to recite scriptures. If you're a Taoist, do your best to catch ghosts. Don't think about love. That's your destiny. You don't have parents, and your relationship with husband and wife is quite weak. Some things can't be forced. Even if we don't intervene, their love will be bumpy. We don't know what the ending will be," the old man said. Ning Shu smiled and said, "I understand, master." After 2 days and 3 nights on the bus, they finally returned to the countryside. Ning Shu got off the bus with several bags on his shoulders. He looked at the surrounding houses, paddy fields, and mountains. He felt relieved. Living in such a place was still comfortable. After not returning to the Taoist temple for so long, Ning Shu missed it. He still felt that living in a place with beautiful scenery made him feel better. The old man went to pick up the children who were left at the farmer's house. When the children returned to the Taoist temple, they surrounded Ning Shu and chattered. Chapter 764. Dealing with Feng Yin and Song Shihan had severely injured Ning Shu's body. He could only recuperate slowly. However, the spirit gathering array in the Taoist temple gathered more spirit qi than in the city. He relied on cultivating the ultimate martial arts to slowly repair his damaged meridians. The incident this time made the old man's body not as good as before. He was no longer as energetic as before. The yin qi had entered the old man's body. In addition, his old age had damaged his body. Ning Shu tried to help the old man recuperate. From time to time, he would transfer some spirit qi into the old man's body to repair his body. The old man became a hands-off boss and left everything to Ning Shu. Ning Shu took his junior brother, Tao Sheng, out to perform a ritual. Now that Ning Shu was getting more and more skilled at catching ghosts, Ning Shu could easily deal with ordinary ghosts. Ning Shu left the Yang Gathering Array, the Immortal Binding Array, and the Ultimate Martial Arts behind. Ning Shu told the old man that he had picked up a secret manual and felt that it was quite useful. Moreover, its qi could drive the compass left behind by the founder. The old man immediately stroked his beard and said, "This thing is fated to be with our Maoshan sect. It can strengthen the body. Let the little brats learn it." Ning Shu was speechless. How shameless. The sect will depend on you in the future. I'm old and can enjoy life. The old man stroked his white beard. Ning Shu said, "I will be filial and take good care of my junior brothers and sisters. I will pass down the Maoshan sect." The old man lay comfortably on the recliner and basked in the sun. "I have faith in you." Ning Shu was speechless. After Ning Shu's cultivation day and night, her internal injuries were almost healed. Ning Shu did not expect that Xie Yiyuan would come to the Taoist temple with a construction team. The old man saw that Xie Yiyuan was not happy at all. He asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" "Dad said that he would help you rebuild the Taoist temple," Xie Yiyuan said. "Well, leave the workers here. Hurry up and leave." The old man waved at Xie Yiyuan. Xie Yiyuan glanced at Ning Shu and said, "I just want to have a word with Tao Qin." "What's there to say?" The old man looked at Xie Yiyuan warily. Ning Shu said, "Master, I just want to say a few words to him." The old man clasped his hands behind his back and muttered, "What's there to say? You still have to hide it from Sir." Ning Shu and Xie Yi left the Taoist temple and walked on the muddy road in the village. Xie Yiyuan plucked a leaf from the roadside and played with it in her hand. She said, "I came here to apologize to you. I was too reckless and not sincere enough." "Oh," Ning Shu replied. "My dad said that you would be a good wife. Actually, when I said that I wanted to marry you, I regretted it. Actually, I don't like you," Xie Yiyuan said honestly. Ning Shu, door gods can also keep the house safe. Xie Yiyuan looked at Ning Shu. This kind of girl was really not her cup of tea. Her dad said that she could keep the house safe, but she was a woman who dealt with ghosts all the time. If he was a man, would he say that he liked her when he covered his heart? Ning Shu looked at Xie Yiyuan with a smile. "You came here this time to tell me this? Although we can't be husband and wife, we can still be friends. We can still keep in touch in the future," Xie Yiyuan said with a smile. This was a businessman. Xie Yiyuan meant that they could still cooperate in the future. If he encountered any supernatural incidents, he could still come to her. Ning Shu said with a smile, "Of course." There was no reason to let go of money that could be taken advantage of. Xie Yiyuan's expression relaxed a lot. Ning Shu said heartily, "I hope you can be responsible for the workers' food. I will pay you the food expenses when the time comes." Ning Shu nodded. "By the way, do you have any talismans with you? I want to buy some from you," Xie Yiyuan said. Ning Shu took out 2 pieces of talisman paper from the cloth bag. 2,500 yuan. Xie Yuan paid without bargaining at all. She asked again, "Is there anything that can see ghosts? I just want to see if there are ghosts around the company's employees." Song Shihan's situation is very rare, Ning Shu said with a frown. It's not a good thing to see ghosts frequently. You'd better not take the initiative to see them. They didn't live in the same latitude, so they couldn't peek frequently. Xie Yuan scratched her head. Actually, I just want to see if there are ghosts around a girl. Ning Shu looked at Xie Yuan. You have a girlfriend again? It was love at first sight and love at second sight. She was a woman that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. Xie Yuan said, "No, it's a marriage alliance. But I'm a little scared." Ning Shu gave Xie Yuan a bottle of cow's tears and a piece of talisman paper. He said, "Put the talisman paper on your body and wipe the cow's tears on your eyelids. You have to see it at night. After you see it, wipe the cow's tears away, okay?" 5,000 yuan. Ning Shu stretched out his hand. Xie Yuan reluctantly paid the money and got into the car parked by the side of the road. Ning Shu waved his hand. Ning Shu turned around and went back to the Taoist temple. He saw the old man directing the construction workers. The old man hurriedly asked Ning Shu, "What did that kid say?" Ning Shu said, "He's here to ask for something. He's getting married and he's afraid that his wife would have something like that around her." "Oh, he's getting married." The old man suddenly smiled and felt relaxed. The old man didn't rebuild the Taoist temple. Instead, he asked the construction workers to renovate it. In the spirit of not spending his own money, the old man did not feel distressed at all. He renovated the woodshed until it was brightly lit and covered the floor tiles. "Well, the firewood won't get damp this way," the old man said while stroking his beard. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu's days were very comfortable. If there were religious ceremonies, he would attend them. If there weren't, he would teach his junior brothers and sisters in the Taoist temple. One day, the old man went to the village chief's house and received a call saying that Uncle Master Go had an accident on his way back. He was still lying in the hospital. The old man gloated and said, "I knew it wasn't easy to get the Ghost King elixir. This thing is a rare treasure to ghosts, just like the elixir of immortality. When this thing appears, it will cause a riot. Old Go really thought that he could get it. Serves him right." Although the old man's words weren't good, Ning Shu could see that he was a little worried. Ning Shu said, "Master, do you want us to go and see Uncle Master Go?" "Well, let's go and see if he's dead." "If he's dead, I'll have to send a wreath," the old man said. Ning Shu also went back to the house to pack up and prepared to go with the old man. She was a little worried about the old man going alone. The old man was old. What if he was beaten up by people on the way? Ning Shu and the old man went to the hospital. Uncle Master Go was only a little injured, but his life wasn't in danger. The old man was a little disappointed and said, "I thought something happened to you." Uncle Master Go ignored the old man's sarcasm and said, "The Ghost King elixir is gone." I said at the time, "The Ghost King elixir is a rotten thing." The old man rolled his eyes. Uncle Master G's face was full of worry and said, "It was taken by a ghost. Won't it create another powerful Ghost King?" Chapter 765. Uncle Go didn't even warm up the Ghost King pill before it disappeared, so he wanted to ask the old man to help him find the Ghost King pill. The old man said, "Since this thing slipped away from your hands, it means that you are not fated with it. As for whether you can create something powerful, it depends on the will of the heavens. Don't force it. Don't get yourself into trouble." Martial Uncle Go sighed, his expression somewhat gloomy. "If you're fine, I'll go back. Don't even think about getting it back. After all, it's something from the ghost realm. It's a disaster if you keep it in your hands." The old man said and left. Outside the hospital, Ning Shu asked, "Are you sure you don't want to find the Ghost King pill?" "Why would I find it? This kind of thing is arranged by the heavens." The old man said casually, "So what if I find it? Are we going to kill the ghosts?" No one else carries a great sin. Whether it's a human or a ghost, we can't take the initiative to kill them. Otherwise, we will carry a great karma. The old man Ning Shu said. Ning Shu nodded, "I'll remember." That day, Ning Shu and the old man went back to the temple. Ning Shu still lived the life of exorcising evil spirits and teaching his juniors. Because Ning Shu went out to do business, Ning Shu had a bit of a reputation in the villages around the temple. If something happened, they would come to the temple to find Ning Shu. However, Ning Shu let Tao Xing do some of the things that weren't very powerful. Tao Xing was now 16 years old, so it was a good time to learn. Ning Shu also wanted to be lazy like the old man. Ding, quest completed. Do you want to leave the quest world? 2333's voice sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu nodded, yes. I'll take the soul pearl first. Otherwise, your soul will be absorbed by it. 2333 said. Ning Shu nodded and then went into a trance. When he opened his eyes, he was already in the system space. Ning Shu was a little tired as he laid on the bed. He found that the intermediate quest was much harder than the beginner quest. Ning Shu put the white string of beads on his hand. This was a gift from the shop owner when he bought the halo of faith. Wearing the bracelet on his hand, a cool and refreshing feeling calmed him down. This mission had evoked the negative emotions in Ning Shu's heart. If she didn't get rid of these negative emotions, it would definitely affect her ability to complete the mission. Fuck, he had actually gone mad. Ning Shu slapped herself for being so useless. She had suffered so much just to survive, yet she still wanted to commit suicide. Even if she had jumped down from the building, she still had the amulet to resist the power of obliteration. She had wasted a possession amulet. Fortunately, his mind was still clear at that time. Ning Shu lay on the bed, chanting the clear heart mantra in his heart, and slowly fell asleep. After waking up, Ning Shu stretched his body. He was in a surprisingly good mood. He was ready to see the results of this mission. Serial number 2333. Name Ning Shu, intermediate mission taker. Age 27 points, 6. 15 million/1. 8 million soul value, 300 HP, 71 wisdom, 234 charm, 10 luck, 64 spiritual power, 140 faith, 111420 martial power, 152 aptitude, 59 merit, 1004010 skills. 5th ring shooting technique, trash fighting technique, beginner peerless martial arts, beginner poison technique, beginner business management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skill, beginner ghost catching skill. Honorary titles, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor Items, Calm Aura, Faith Aura, Amulet 5, Upgraded Amulet Aura, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Model Worker, Qinshi's Blessing, Leader Aura, Grass Blessing, Best Friend, Miao Miao Miao's Blessing, Life-Saving Hand, Zhu Su Nyang's Blessing, Completed Tao Qin's Wish. Mission completion, 100. Obtained 1. 8 million points, 50 attribute points, 200 faith, 10 merit points. Not bad. He added the 50 attribute points to wisdom, luck, spiritual power, martial power, and aptitude. Serial number 2333. Name Ning Shu, intermediate mission taker. Age 27 points, 615 soul value, 300 HP, 71 wisdom, 23410 charm, 10 luck, 6410 spiritual power, 14010 faith, 1314 martial power, 15210 aptitude, 5910 merit, 10050 skills. 5th ring shooting technique, trash fighting technique, beginner martial arts, beginner poison technique, beginner business management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skills, beginner ghost catching skills. Honorary titles, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor Items, Calm Aura, Faith Aura, Amulet 5, Upgraded Amulet Aura, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Model Worker, Qinshi's Blessing, Leader Aura, Grass Blessing, Best Friend, Miao Miao Miao's Blessing, Life-Saving Hand, Zhu Su Nyang's Blessing. After distributing the attribute points, Ning Shu sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. Seeing that Ning Shu was done cultivating, 2333 asked, "Are you feeling better?" Ning Shu suddenly felt like a bucket of water was poured on his head. Did he know how to chat and ruin people's good mood? Pretty good. Ning Shu said. 2333 said, "I thought you were in a bad mood. so I'll tell you a piece of good news. Since you're in a good mood, then forget it. Ning Shu, bitch, good news has nothing to do with whether I'm in a good mood or not. Ning Shu said in a bad mood. What good news? 2333 said, when Tao Qin made the deal, she gave you an extra 1 million points. She fought with the higher-ups to get it for you. That works? Ning Shu was stunned. Tao Qin actually got an extra 1 million points for him. That was a lot. 2333 said, she probably saw that you completed the quest and felt grateful. Plus, this quest dragged on until now. Since you finished it, there should be a reward. Ning Shu was overjoyed. He got 1 million points for free. It was an unexpected surprise. Great. This 1 million points could be exchanged for a lot of things in the system store. Ning Shu opened the system store and browsed through the items. He bought a lot of books, all kinds of books. The bookshelf was filled to the brim with books. Ning Shu had also exchanged for several secret cultivation manuals of different races. If he encountered a special situation during the quest, he could cultivate these secret cultivation manuals. He put the secret cultivation manuals on the bookshelf and read them when he had time. Now that her wisdom had increased, it was easier for her to understand and remember what the secretary said. Ning Shu added some small things in the system store and decorated the system store. This was her home. Every time she came back here, she felt relaxed. The decorations were more comfortable and made her feel better. Anyway, Ning Shu tried to make herself comfortable and happy. Chapter 766. Ning Shu said, I'd like to see how Tao Qin is doing after she returned. Okay, number 2333 replied. A screen appeared in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu saw that Tao Qin had inherited the position of the Maoshan sect's leader. Because there were many children in the Taoist temple, life was still difficult. Tao Qin and the older children all hunted ghosts and performed rituals. The Taoist temple was renovated, and the statues of the 3 pristine ones and the patriarch were reconstructed. Occasionally, the villagers at the foot of the Taoist temple would come to burn incense. They would donate some money for incense, but it was better than nothing. The income came from exorcism. In any case, Tao Qin's life was to exorcise evil spirits and hunt ghosts, and then pass down the Maoshan sect's spells. Everyone had their own way of living, and Tao Qin was destined to deal with ghosts. Tao Qin also had no intention of getting married. Few men could accept that their women hunted ghosts and exorcised evil spirits all day long. This mission could be considered a successful counterattack, and Ning Shu was relieved. Ning Shu took out a secret book and memorized the chant. It was safest to store it in his mind. After that, Ning Shu put the book on the shelf and clicked on the exchange store. He bought fasting pills, water, medicine, and antidote pills. No matter which plane he was in, these things were necessary for survival. After that, Ning Shu said, let's see who the next mission is. A woman appeared in the space. She was about 40 years old, wearing a professional suit. She was beautiful and had a fierce aura. She was obviously a strong woman. When the woman saw Ning Shu, she said, counterattack for me. Half of my soul power is my bottom line. She is my daughter and I can't do it. You can do whatever you want. How about this deal? So strong. Ning Shu smiled and said, what do you want? That bastard killed my father, killed me, and then tricked my daughter. What do you think? Ning Shu said. Ning Shu rolled his eyes and said, you want revenge on that bastard, right? That's right, the woman said straightforwardly. Can you accept half of my soul power? Ning Shu nodded. Sure. All right, then our deal is complete. After saying that, the woman's body vanished. Ning Shu, in less than a few minutes, Ning Shu didn't even know the woman's name. Ning Shu took a deep breath and said to 2333, enter the quest. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Shu felt a wave of dizziness. He felt that his soul had fused with another body. Ning Shu quietly waited for his soul to fuse with his body. After the complete fusion, Ning Shu opened his eyes and found himself in a spacious and luxurious office. Ning Shu stretched his neck and picked up the nameplate on the table. On it was written, CEO Sherlina. Ning Shu put down the nameplate, leaned back in the leather chair, closed his eyes, and began to accept the plot. Well, this was a revenge story. The original owner was called Shirlina. She was the CEO of a listed company and the only heir of the Shir family. Because she was the only daughter in the Shir family, Shirlina chose to take in a husband. Shirlina was good-looking and had a good family background, so naturally, there were people who were willing to marry into her family. Shirlina chose an artist. This man had the romantic and free taste of the artist, and he was also good-looking. After the two got married, they had a daughter, Shirsinan. Shirlina's marriage didn't last long. The couple divorced when their daughter, Shirsinan, was 5 or 6 years old. The artist's husband couldn't stand it and couldn't resist Shirlina's strong personality. She didn't have the gentleness and beauty that a woman should have. As a man, he was always called a sponger. His self-esteem couldn't stand it and he decisively divorced. In order to show that he didn't do it for money, he left the marriage with nothing and found a gentle and considerate woman to live with. After the divorce, Shirlina didn't remarry and devoted all her attention to the company. The turn of events was that Shirlina's father brought back a man and put the man's name on the Shir family's household register, becoming Shirlina's younger brother. Shirlina was full of suspicion towards this younger brother. She always felt that this younger brother was her father's illegitimate son. Moreover, Shirlina clearly felt that this younger brother had some malice towards the Shir family. Shimuching was very handsome and he had a bad feeling about him. His evil and wild smile was simply unbearable for women. Moreover, there was a feeling that he didn't put anyone in his eyes. Old Master Shir felt a little guilty toward Shimuching, but he turned a blind eye and even let Shimuching become the company's vice president. Without any excessive changes, he directly became the vice president. Shirlina was wary of Shimuching, but her daughter, Shirsinan, was quite curious about this uncle who had suddenly appeared. Moreover, this uncle was still very young. Shimuching smiled meaningfully and teased Shirsinan like a big bad wolf looking at a little white rabbit. He sized her up maliciously, and Shirsinan couldn't help but blush. Shirlina warned her daughter many times not to get close to Shimuching, but Shirsinan didn't listen and even said that her uncle was a very good person. Shirlina was so angry that she wanted to die. She forcibly prevented Shirsinan from getting close to Shimuching, which made the relationship between mother and daughter tense. Every time she saw Shimuching's devilish smile, Shirlina's heart would surge with uneasiness. On Shirsinan's 18th birthday, Shimuching gave Shirsinan a birthday present, which was to say, he did that to the 18-year-old Shirsinan. After that indescribable thing happened, Shirsinan was dumbfounded. They were related by blood. Shirsinan was terrified and uneasy. She was afraid that her grandfather and mother would find out and have to face Shimuching's harassment again. Shimuching had something on her, so Shirsinan didn't dare to speak out. Shimuching was the kind of person who was good to women, and women absolutely couldn't resist him. Shirsinan was flirted with by Shimuching. One moment he was gentle, the next he was hostile. It was as if he had a split personality. Shirsinan was addicted to this heartbeat while trying to convince her uncle. Shimuching came with hatred. Raping Shirsinan was just to take revenge on the Shir family. However, he had feelings for Shirsinan, so he was conflicted. He treated Shirsinan coldly and warmly, but he was also domineering and didn't allow her to get close to other boys in school. Ever since they had sex at the birthday party, Shimuching treated Shirsinan as his woman and had absolute control over her. After that, Shimuching plotted to cause Shirlina to get into a car accident and kill old Master Shir, and the Shir family fell into Shimuching's hands. With her family dead, Shirsinan had no one to rely on and could only rely on this uncle. However, Shimuching had very complicated feelings about this person who had the Shir family's bloodline. Shimuching os, woman, what should I do with you? Chapter 767. After a series of misunderstandings and entanglements, the abusive car accident and the murder of her entire family, in the end, Shimuching got together with Shirsinan. Together, Ning Shu was dumbfounded after accepting the plot. This was the first time Ning Shu had seen such a complicated plot since he started doing missions. It was mixed with the previous generation's grievances, revenge, love, lust, and imprisonment. Yes, legally speaking, the uncle and niece were together. They were together. But Ning Shu was now the sister and mother of this pair of lovers. Lina had mixed feelings about her daughter, Sinon. She was her daughter after all, but Sinon's actions made Lina hate her very much. She enjoyed the Sher family's rich life, but she didn't fulfill any responsibilities. In the end, she even got together with the Sher family's enemy. If she had any guts, she would have perished together with them. Give me back my grandfather and my mother's life. However, love could dissolve all hostility and hatred. Ning Shu? Degree? Ning Shu wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. This level of melodrama was rarely seen in the world. Bang! The office door suddenly opened and a man in a suit with broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and long legs walked in. The secretary was anxiously stopping him. Ning Shu said, "President, I'm sorry. I can't stop the vice president." Ning Shu looked at Shimuching. He was about 25 or 26 years old. His facial features were deep, and he was incomparably handsome. He looked arrogant and unruly. Ning Shu's secretary waved his hand. "Go and pour a cup of tea for the vice president." Shimuching raised his hand and stopped the secretary. "I'm not here to drink tea." Shimuching looked at Ning Shu. Under his deep gaze, Ning Shu couldn't suppress his heartbeat. He was indeed a domineering president. No wonder Sinon could let go of the hatred of killing her entire family and happily end it with him. Ning Shu's face was cold. "Then what are you here for?" "Elder sister." Shimuching Ning Shu shouted. The two words, sister, flowed from his mouth. It was somewhat lingering and treacherous, but more than that, it was a kind of coldness and malice that made people feel a chill down their backs. "It's time to get off work." "I'm going to get off work first. I don't like working overtime." "I won't work overtime in the future," Shimuching said as he picked up the nameplate on Ning Shu's table. Shimuching looked at the nameplate with a smile on his face. Ning Shu reached out and took his nameplate from Shimuching's hand and put it on the table. "Since you want to get off work, then get off work. You don't have to tell me." Shimuching smiled. "All right then, I'll leave first." "Sis, you should get off work early. If you have nothing to do, go out on a date." "You," Shimuching sized up Ning Shu from head to toe. His gaze seemed to be penetrating. Wherever his gaze swept, the skin would feel hot and sweat would pour out of his back. Was this the ability to see who would get pregnant? "You're really wasting your capital like this." Shimuching turned and left after saying that. Ning Shu stared at Shimuching's back view. Anyway, the mission this time was to kill Shimuching and protect the company. As for Sinon, this cheap daughter, let's talk about it later. Ning Shu was also preparing to get off work. She took her document bag and went to the company's underground garage to drive. Shimuching's luxury car was long gone. Shimuching had a lot of capital in his hands. He had his own company in his hands, and he also had underground forces. Everything he did was to take revenge on the Sher family. However, the old man had led a wolf into the house. His granddaughter had run away with the enemy, and he and his daughter had died. Ning Shu drove back to the Sher family villa. When she opened the door, a servant placed the slippers neatly in front of her. Ning Shu put on the slippers and entered the living room. There was no one in the living room. Ning Shu's servant asked, "Where are the others?" "Old master is upstairs in the study." "Mr. Shi hasn't returned yet," the servant said. Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. Hadn't Shimuching gotten off work early and hadn't returned? However, Shimuching had a lot of ness. He had his own company and villa. Working at the Sher family's company was just for the sake of the old man. Ning Shu raised her wrist and looked at her watch. It was already time for Sinon to finish school. Sinon was only an 18-year-old high school student now. Shimuching was worse than an animal to be able to do such a thing. In the plot, Sinon didn't study after graduating from high school. Because in her third year of high school, she experienced something indescribable with her uncle and fell into a sweet and complicated relationship. Then, life was like a wild horse out of its anus. First, her mother died. Then, her grandfather died. Then, she found out that her mother and grandfather were killed by her uncle. It was like a bolt from the blue and the world collapsed. Sher Sinan, who wanted to leave, was imprisoned by Shi Muching again. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. She refused to eat, cut her wrists, and committed suicide. All kinds of torturous things happened again. The pain is in my body, the pain is in your heart. Come on, let's torture each other. Ning Shu thought for a while, took the car keys, and prepared to pick up Sher Sinan from school. Now, Sher Sinan and Shi Muching hadn't done anything indescribable yet. If he could salvage the situation, then so be it. Ning Shu hadn't left yet when he heard the sound of a car engine at the entrance of the villa. He hurriedly walked to the door and saw Sher Sinan sitting in Shi Muching's convertible luxury car. Shi Muching glanced at Ning Shu and leaned over to unfasten Sher Sinan's seatbelt. From Ning Shu's point of view, Shi Muching seemed to be hugging Sher Sinan. Sher Sinan's fair and tender face was flushed, and even her ears were red. Shi Muching's actions made Sher Sinan feel a little strange, but the other party was an elder, so Sher Sinan didn't think much of it. Shi Muching slowly unfastened Sher Sinan's seatbelt. His movements had an indescribable charm. Sher Sinan felt hot all over and hurriedly got out of the car. Seeing Ning Shu standing at the door, she hurriedly called out to Ning Shu, "Mum." Ning Shu smiled at Sher Sinan and said, "Why did you come back in Uncle's car?" Ning Shu emphasized the word, "Uncle." "Uncle came to pick me up from school." "Uncle said that Mom asked him to pick me up," Sher Sinan said. Ning Shu looked at Shi Muching, who was smiling wickedly and unscrupulously. Ning Shu looked away and said indifferently, "Come in." Sher Sinan said coquettishly. Seeing her uncle staring at her, Sher Sinan felt a little embarrassed and turned to enter the house. In Ning Shu's convertible car, Shi Muching said, "Thank you for picking up my daughter." Shi Muching said, "After all, I'm also Sinan's uncle." Ning Shu smiled. "Yes, you're Sinan's uncle." When Shi Muching saw Ning Shu smile, he looked a little unhappy. His eyes were sharp as he said, "Sister, don't worry. I'll love Sinan well." Ning Shu thought, "Bitch." Ning Shu turned and entered the house. He thought to himself that he should kill Shi Muching before things reached the point of no return and give him a taste of his own medicine. Chapter 768. Ning Shu entered the living room and saw that Sher Sinan was drinking water. Sher Sinan was wearing a fresh dress. She was really at the age of blooming. She had a youthful vibe, and Sher Sinan was quite good-looking. She had long eyelashes, big eyes, and a small cherry mouth. When she smiled, she was sweet to the core. She also had the elegance of a rich young lady and was carefree. Sher Sinan was not like Sherlina. In terms of personality, she was more like her father. In addition, Sherlina and her husband divorced. She felt that she owed Sher Sinan and doted on her. Sherlina was sometimes worried about whether Sher Sinan would be able to support the Sher family company, but in the face of a woman who was as beautiful as a flower, she couldn't bear to force her. She just didn't expect that the delicate flower that she carefully cared for would be taken by a pig. In Ning Shu's eyes, Sher Sinan was a Mary Sue, and this kind of Mary Sue should be called a confused Mary Sue. He was dumbfounded by what she had just done. Her mother died. She was confused. Her grandfather died. She was confused. The murderer was him. She was confused. What should she do? She was confused. What's the use of living such an otherworldly life? Old Master came down from upstairs. When he saw Sher Sinan, a smile immediately appeared on his face. "Sinan, you're back. Were you unhappy at school today?" "No, Grandpa, I didn't have anything to be unhappy about," Sher Sinan said with a smile. When Shi Muching came in and saw the harmonious scene between the grandfather and granddaughter, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He looked evil, but it made him full of charm. Old Master saw Shi Muching and asked him, "How's work in the company? Have you adapted?" Shi Muching said, "Not bad, I'm quite used to it." "That's good," Old Master said. "You and Lena will support each other in the future." Shi Muching just curled his lips and didn't comment. During dinner, Old Master said, "It'll be Sinan's 18th birthday in a few days. I plan to hold a banquet for her. She's an adult at 18 years old, so it's time to meet the people who have business dealings with the Shi family. Sinan can invite your classmates and good friends to the banquet," Old Master said. "Thank you, Grandpa." Shi Sinan smiled sweetly. Seeing Shi Muching staring at her, she couldn't help but lower her head. That kind of scorching gaze gave Shi Sinan a strange feeling in her heart. Shi Muching put down his chopsticks and smiled at Shi Sinan. "Then, as her uncle, do I have to prepare a gift for my niece?" "Thank you, uncle," Shi Sinan said with reddened ears. Shi Muching's gaze swept over Shi Sinan's face inch by inch, as if he was using his eyes to describe Shi Sinan's facial features. In the face of Shi Muching's predatory gaze, Shi Sinan's face flushed red, and she was extremely shy. Ning Shu coughed and used his arm to block Shi Muching's gaze when he picked up the food. This kind of wolf's gaze made Ning Shu want to dig out Shi Muching's thieving eyes. After dinner, Ning Shu said to his father, "Dad, I have something to tell you." The old man said, "What do you want to say?" "Let's go to the study," Ning Shu said. The old man glanced at Shi Muching, who was sitting on the sofa, and nodded. "In the study," Ning Shu said directly, "Dad, do you know where this Shi Muching came from? Why did you bring him home?" The old man sighed and said, "He's actually your uncle's son." "Dad, uncle is older than you. Why is his son so young?" Ning Shu said bluntly. The old man said, "Back then, your uncle and I were doing business together. We developed from a small shop to a company. We met your mother. Your uncle and I both liked your mother, and your mother chose me." Ning Shu, brothers fighting over a woman. Shirlina's mother was also a beauty with a short life. She passed away when Shirlina was in her teens, and the old man didn't remarry. Your uncle was resentful and took all the company's money. The company couldn't hold on anymore, so I took a loan from the bank. "What about uncle?" Ning Shu asked. The old man said, "He took the money and ran away. There's been no news of him for so many years. I've been looking for him. Not long ago, there was news of him. He's already passed away, leaving behind Shi Muching as his son. When I found Shi Muching, he was hanging out with a bunch of hooligans. He lived in a small, dirty house." Ning Shu asked again, "Uncle is dead. Where's aunt?" The old man sighed and said, "Your uncle isn't married. Shi Muching's mother is one of your uncle's mistresses." Ning Shu, with Shi Muching's imposing manner, he was like a lighthouse in the night wherever he stood. How could he be a hooligan? Moreover, Shi Muching was quite good at business. Was this something a hooligan could have? The matter couldn't stand up to scrutiny. Moreover, Shi Muching wasn't his uncle's son at all. He was an adopted son adopted by his uncle whom he had never met. The cheap uncle instilled hatred into Shi Muching. Shi Muching's arrival was to take back everything for his father. "Lina, Shi Muching has always been muddle-headed. He doesn't do things properly. Just bear with him," the old man said. Ning Shu only chuckled in his heart. Shi Muching's methods were quite ruthless. The deaths of Shirlina and Grandpa Shen only added a little more torture to this sadistic relationship. Shi Muching hated the Shi family, and even his feelings for Shi Sinan were mixed. He could kill the rest of the Shi family, but he couldn't do anything to Shi Sinan. Instead, he imprisoned her. All kinds of love and hate stories were played out in this villa. Of course, there were also indescribable things and all kinds of shameful relationships. Shi Muching fell in love with the daughter of the enemy. Loved you and tortured you. Shi Sinan fell in love with the enemy who killed his mother. Hated you for torturing yourself. Ning Shu looked at the old man silently. "Have you investigated thoroughly? I don't think he's uncle's son at all. He's not here with good intentions." The old man pondered for a moment, then sighed and said, "Let's talk about this later." Ning Shu felt a little stifled. The old man felt guilty towards his brother. What was there to feel guilty about? He had taken away all the company's money. This money was enough for him to indulge in debauchery and secretly cultivate power. Under the halo of Shi Muching's male lead, these powers grew bigger and bigger, And the company was not weaker than the Shi family. Old Master Shi wasn't the one who did anything wrong. Ning Shu pursed his lips. He still had to rely on himself for this matter. The old man still doted on this man from the Shi family. After all, Shi Lina and Shi Sinan were both women. Moreover, Shi Sinan didn't look like she could do big things and shoulder the responsibility of a listed company. Yes, Shi Sinan was pure, innocent, naive, and sweet. Chapter 769. If Shi Sinan were to take in a son-in-law like Shi Lina, the company would fall into the hands of an outsider. Ning Shu could tell that old Master Shi wanted to give the company to Shi Muqing. Now was the time to test Shi Muqing. Since he couldn't take old Master Shi's path, Ning Shu could only think of a way to deal with Shi Muqing himself. Ning Shu left the study and went downstairs to see Shi Sinan writing test papers on the table. Shi Muqing was standing next to Shi Sinan, leaning over the table with his hands on it. His tall body covered Shi Sinan's petite body. Shi Muqing watched Shi Sinan write and pointed out her mistakes from time to time. Shi Muqing held Shi Sinan's hand and moved the pen in Shi Sinan's hand. Shi Sinan felt her heart beating like thunder. She felt very strange, but she couldn't pinpoint what was strange about it. She felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't say it out loud. "Niece, do you remember everything Uncle said?" Shi Muqing asked. The two of them were very close to each other, and their breaths were intertwined. Shi Sinan could even smell her uncle's scent, which made her dizzy and made her hands and feet go weak. "I remember." Shi Sinan's voice was like a mosquito's buzz, and her neck was pink. Shi Muqing's eyes were watery, and his face was expressionless as he looked at Shi Sinan with an unfathomable gaze. Seeing this scene, Ning Shu wanted to rush into the kitchen and chop Shi Muqing up with a kitchen knife. It was simply a heinous crime to seduce an inexperienced and brainless child like this. Ning Shu hurried downstairs and asked, "Sinan, what are you doing?" Shi Sinan said with some admiration, "Mom, Uncle is tutoring me. Uncle is so amazing." Shi Muqing curled his lips and tilted his head slightly. "Niece, you seem a little stupid. You can't even solve such a simple question." "Uncle." Shi Sinan couldn't help but call out. Ning Shu said indifferently, "Didn't you drop out of school very early? You even know about high school?" Shi Muqing didn't seem like an uncultured person. Could old Master Shi not tell? He definitely could. He chose to ignore these things because Shi Muqing was a male descendant of the Shi family. He even made Shi Muqing his son. "Although I dropped out of school, it doesn't stop me from continuing to study, right?" Shi Muqing found a very insincere reason. Shi Sinan looked at Shi Muqing with her clear, bright eyes. "Uncle, did you teach yourself?" "Yes." Ning Shu, who was beside them, could feel the strange atmosphere between the two of them. It was charming and ambiguous. Ning Shu's Shi Sinan said, "It's time to sleep. Sleep with mommy tonight." With a smile on her face, Shi Sinan tidied up the test papers on the table and followed Ning Shu upstairs. Ning Shu turned around and saw that Shi Muqing was looking at him and Shi Sinan. His eyes were deep, and it was obvious that he was up to no good. After entering the bedroom, Ning Shu looked at Shi Sinan's test paper. Shi Sinan didn't do well in her studies. When Shi Sinan came out of the shower, Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan, "If your studies are really difficult, you don't have to study anymore. Learn from mommy how to manage the company, or go to a finance school. You don't have to study so hard." Children from families like Shi Sinan's didn't have to be like ordinary students, who regarded the college entrance examination as a turning point in their lives. Even if their grades weren't good, they could be sent abroad. Even if they wanted to go to university, it would be a matter of minutes. Shi Sinan dried her wet hair. Ning Shu said coquettishly, "Mommy, I want to rely on my own efforts to get into university. I want to live a university life." "Up to you," Ning Shu said lightly. "Thank you, Mommy." Shi Sinan wrapped her arms around Ning Shu's neck and kissed Ning Shu on the cheek. Ning Shu said again, "Sinan, do you have a boy you like? In school?" Shi Sinan quickly shook her head. "No, Mommy, I'm not in puppy love." "No, Mommy means that Sinan is a girl. You must know how to protect yourself. Don't be too close to boys. As long as it's a man, you must keep a distance, Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan frowned and asked, do I also have to keep a distance from grandpa and uncle? Your grandfather is your biological grandfather, but your uncle is a young man. You still have to keep a distance, okay? Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan. Shi Muqing's relationship with Shi Sinan wasn't like that of an uncle to a niece. Even a biological uncle wouldn't have such an intimate distance. This was the distance a man needed to explore a woman's heart inch by inch. Go to sleep, Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan, and then went to take a shower. When Shi Sinan fell asleep, Ning Shu set up a spirit-gathering array in the room and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate the ultimate martial arts. Cultivating the ultimate martial arts could make the body agile. Even if there was a car accident like in the plot, he could still save himself. However, there was a girl by his side. When he cultivated, he had to pay attention to whether Shi Sinan was awake or not. Although it was inconvenient, Ning Shu still wouldn't let Shi Sinan be alone. He didn't feel at ease letting Shi Sinan sleep alone. Several times, Shi Muqing pretended to be crazy and entered Shi Sinan's room. Although nothing happened, he broke into Shi Sinan's boudoir like this. A man entered her room like this and lay on her bed. This had quite a big impact on Shi Sinan's heart, especially since her uncle was a handsome man. Coupled with Shi Muqing's deliberate seduction, even a female mosquito could faint. Moreover, Shi Muqing's possessiveness towards Shi Sinan stirred Shi Sinan's heart. Ning Shu, slut. At about 2 o'clock in the morning, Ning Shu quietly went downstairs. He went to the kitchen to get a fruit knife and went straight to the villa's garage. Holding a flashlight in his hand, he found Shi Muqing's car and used the back of the fruit knife to cut the undercarriage's oil pipe. The cutting surface wouldn't be so smooth with the back of the knife, so it was obvious that someone had cut it. Ning Shu was so busy that he was covered in sweat. Finally, he made a hole in the oil pipe. The oil in the oil pipe leaked out and stained Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu took cotton and stuffed it into the oil pipe. After doing these things, Ning Shu left the garage and returned to the bedroom to take a shower and continue repairing. After cultivating for a night, Ning Shu felt very comfortable. There was a strand of energy in his dantian the size of a strand of hair. Ning Shu woke Shi Sinan up. Shi Sinan looked confused. Her eyelashes fluttered as she opened her eyes. Her face was red and very beautiful. Pure and beautiful, which was something the hateful Shi Muqing didn't have, so he loved and hated Shi Sinan. Ning Shu and Shi Sinan went downstairs together. Shi Muqing was already sitting at the dining table drinking coffee. He was wearing a white shirt with the collar unbuttoned, and his chest was partly visible. It was indeed pleasing to see such beauty early in the morning. Shi Sinan was a little shy. She looked away, not daring to look at Shi Muqing. Shi Muqing put down the coffee and looked at Shi Sinan with deep eyes. He said in a teasing tone, Sinan is already a big girl. Why are you still sleeping with your mother? Chapter 770. Shi Muqing said, Sinan is a big girl now. She should be independent and can sleep on her own. But Shi Sinan didn't know what to say. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. She's my daughter. If she doesn't sleep with me, do you think she'll sleep with you, bitch? Does us mother and daughter sleeping together have anything to do with you being her uncle? Ning Shu looked at Shi Muqing coldly, her voice cold. Little brother. Shi Muqing casually picked up his coffee and took a sip. His movements were very elegant as he smiled slightly. Sister, I'm just saying. Sinan is the eldest daughter of the Shi family. She should be independent soon. Ning Shu, don't think I don't know what you're thinking. If you want to sneak into my room, come to my room if you dare. If I don't break your legs, I won't fucking be surnamed Ning. Ning Shu sneered, it's not up to you to comment on the matters between us mother and daughter. Shi Muqing shrugged his shoulders, but his eyes were fixed on Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan felt very uncomfortable being stuck in the middle. She couldn't help but say to Ning Shu, Mom, let's not talk about it. Ning Shu pulled Shi Sinan to her side and sat down. She said faintly, Sinan, normal men don't care about the details of women's affairs. Look at your grandfather. He's a man and an uncle. If he's not a pervert, then what is? Sure Sinon was a little confused. She glanced at Shi Muching secretly and felt that her uncle wasn't a pervert. Ning Shu frowned and sighed in his heart. He felt a little speechless. It was said that girls tended to side with outsiders, but now Sure Sinon was leaning toward Shi Muching. There weren't any young elders in the Sure family. Sure Sinon's father had left when she was young, and Sure Sinon had no experience getting along with young male elders. She thought that Shi Muching was an elder based on the way he interacted with her. What are you talking about so early in the morning? Did you hear your voices upstairs? Old Master came downstairs and asked Ning Shu and the other two. Sure Sinon wanted to let this matter go. There was no need to quarrel. It's okay, Grandpa. The old man sat down and said, I'll ask someone to prepare for the banquet now. Sinon, keep your spirits up and celebrate your 18th birthday happily. Thank you, Grandpa. Sure Sinon smiled, looking very fresh and beautiful. Shi Muching stared at Sure Sinon. Sure Sinon turned her head and met Shi Muching's eyes. Shi Muching winked at Sure Sinon and said with a devilish expression, Well, what gift should I give my niece? How troublesome. Shi Muching raised his eyebrows and leaned forward slightly to look at Sure Sinon. Tell me what you like. I'll definitely satisfy you. Sure Sinon's face was red. Ning Shu said coldly, Thank you, but Sinon doesn't have anything she likes. You can just give it to her. Shi Muching glanced at Sure Sinon and said with a faint smile, But I don't think that's the case with your niece. As a mother, you actually don't know what your daughter likes. You're a little unreasonable as a mother. Ning Shu turned his head and saw that Sure Sinon's expression was a little gloomy. She was obviously sad that her mother didn't know what she liked. Ning Shu was speechless. What a mess. Sister, children need love and care. You're so focused on work every day. You should be more concerned about your niece. Shi Muching stood up, picked up the suit jacket on the chair, and left with a chuckle. Ning Shu pursed his lips and ate the sandwich and milk. How could he have the strength to fight if he didn't eat his fill? Have breakfast. Go to school after that. Ning Shu didn't know what to say to Sure Sinon. She was really too naive and had been used by Shi Muching to attack her. After breakfast, Ning Shu went upstairs to change his clothes and get ready to go to work. As long as he killed Shi Muching, everything would be fine. Ning Shu didn't expose the ambiguous behavior between Shi Muching and Sure Sinon. At least for now, Sure Sinon still treated Shi Muching as her uncle and elder. He had to get rid of Shi Muching before they had a substantial relationship. Sure Sinon followed Ning Shu upstairs. Seeing that Ning Shu was putting on an office lady's suit jacket, she said, Mom, can you take me to school today? I haven't been with you in a long time. Ning Shu nodded. Okay, I'll take you to school first, then to the company. Although Ning Shu had promised Sure Sinon to take her to school, Sure Sinon still looked very unhappy. Shi Muching's words had obviously aroused her dissatisfaction. Sure Sinon carried a beautiful and small bag and waited for Ning Shu to drive out of the garage. When Ning Shu's car stopped in front of her, Sure Sinon got into the car and the car drove out of the villa. Sure Sinon, who was in the car, looked at Ning Shu from time to time. Ning Shu asked directly, Just say what you want to say. Mom, you always go to work and are busy with work every day. I want to go shopping with you and talk to you more, Sure Sinon said. Ning Shu almost couldn't suppress the primitive force in her heart. Her tone was a little stiff as she said, If I tell you 10 sentences, you won't remember one sentence. If your uncle says one sentence, you will remember it firmly. What was going on now? Was she questioning her? Was she questioning Shirlena? No wonder in the system space, Shirlena had said that she could do whatever she wanted to Sure Sinon. Obviously, she had been heartbroken by Sure Sinon. Oh, I chat with you every day to relieve your boredom. Otherwise, I don't care about you or don't understand you. If you don't work, money will fall from the sky? Do you have the money to let you live a carefree life as a young lady? Shirlena was the CEO of the company. The fate of the company was in her hands, and the livelihood of so many employees was on her shoulders. The business world was a man's battlefield. Shirlena was a woman. In the business world, she had to put in double or even triple the effort to be respected. In particular, Shirlena was a divorced woman, and there were always rumors. Society had never been less malicious toward women. They said that Shirlena was a shrew, and her husband couldn't stand it and divorced her. Even if they praised her as an iron lady, it might be sarcastic. Did Shirlena complain to Shirsinon after shouldering all of this? "Oh, I'm lonely. Mom doesn't accompany me. I'm so sad." Ning Shu hated talking to this kind of innocent and beautiful person the most. She still had the time to think about these things when she didn't have enough to eat or warm clothes. She didn't lack food and clothing, so she had the time to be sad. Seeing that Ning Shu was angry, Shirsinon looked a little uneasy. She pursed her lips tightly and looked out of the car window. Ning Shu sighed in her heart and said, "Sinon, come to the company for an internship this weekend." Shirsinon turned her head and said with a pout, "But Mom, I'm in my 3rd year of high school now. My studies are very tight, and the exams are coming soon." Ning Shu said indifferently, "There are some things that you won't need at all in the future. Come to the company for an internship and understand the operations of the company. It's better for your future." Chapter 771. Ning Shu wanted to groom Shirsinon, but the old man at home wanted to give the company to Shi Muching, which was impossible. If the company was given to Shi Muching, he would be at the mercy of others. Besides, by letting Shirsinon work, she wouldn't have the time to grieve over the passing of spring and let her see the cruelty of life. "Come to work at the company, and we can see each other and talk every day." Ning Shu smiled. Shirsinon was about to cry. She said in a choked voice, "Mom, other mothers tell their children to study hard, but Mom actually wants me to give up on studying and go to work." Ning Shu thought, what the fuck? There was really no way to communicate with a one-track mind. Ning Shu said indifferently, "I'm just asking you to go to the company on the weekend. I'm not asking you to stop studying." "But Mom, I want to study hard and get into university," Shirsinon said. "If you want to go to university, it's just a matter of minutes." Ning Shu suppressed the riot in her heart. Shirsinon wasn't a child from an ordinary family. If she had the time to stay up late and study, she might as well learn something practical. Ning Shu said calmly, "You can go to any school you want." "Mom, I want to rely on my own hard work," Shirsinon said stubbornly. Ning Shu felt helpless. "As long as you're happy." The communication between a man and a woman was really different. Shirsinon and Shi Muching were one way to communicate and another way to communicate with her. Like repelling like. Ning Shu didn't force Shirsinon to work at the company anymore. With Shi Muching in the company, wouldn't that be giving Shi Muching a chance to flirt with Shirsinon? After sending Shirsinon to the school gate, Ning Shu said indifferently, "Be careful." Shirsinon pursed her lips. "Mom, drive carefully." Ning Shu nodded, started the car, and left. When they arrived at the company, Ning Shu's secretary said to Ning Shu, "President, the vice president was in a car accident." Ning Shu thought, Ning Shu looked very puzzled. "How did it happen?" "The car spontaneously combusted," the secretary said. He had only spontaneously combusted. He thought it was a car crash. Ning Shu asked, "How is the vice president now?" Ning Shu did that just because he wanted Shi Muching's car to break down and wait for his car to be repaired before he tampered with it. "The vice president is fine. The car caught fire and he jumped out of the car," the secretary said. But when he jumped out of the car, his body was grazed by the car next to him. Ning Shu, what a pity. Sure enough, he was an unkillable cockroach. How could the male lead die like this? "Are you in the hospital now?" Ning Shu asked. The secretary nodded. Ning Shu didn't go to see Shi Muching and started to get busy with the company's matters. Fortunately, Ning Shu had learned how to manage the company when he was the president. She had already been a male CEO. Now she was going to be a female CEO. When it was time to get off work, Ning Shu was ready to go to the hospital to see Shi Muching. He asked the secretary for the address of the hospital. In the end, when they arrived at the hospital, they were told that Shi Muching had been discharged. Ning Shu, it was probably just a graze and he had to come to the hospital to apply some medicine. Otherwise, he would have been discharged in less than a day. Why did she go through so much trouble to cut the oil pipe? Ning Shu drove back to the villa. When he entered the house, he saw Shi Muching leaning against Shi Sinan. One of his calves was wrapped in gauze. Shi Muching's hand was on Shi Sinan's shoulder, and half of his body was on top of Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan supported Shi Muching. It was probably because Shi Muching was too heavy that she had to exert a lot of effort. Her small face was red. This bitch really knew how to find opportunities. There were so many servants at home, but she insisted on Shi Sinan supporting her. She didn't let go of any chance of physical contact. After Shi Sinan helped Shi Muching to the sofa, Ning Shu walked into the living room. He raised his eyebrows and asked Shi Muching, "Why did you suddenly get into a car accident?" Shi Muching's gaze swept across Ning Shu's face. He shrugged and said, "Who knows? Maybe someone wants me dead." Shi Sinan stared at Shi Muching with wide eyes and asked, "Who would want Uncle dead?" "I'm an eyesore to some people, so they want to get rid of me." Shi Muching's gaze stayed on Ning Shu's face. "I checked the garage and found that there was gasoline dripping on the ground where I parked." Shi Muching's voice was cold. Shi Sinan was a little confused. She rolled her eyes and didn't say anything. Ning Shu looked calm and didn't look guilty at all. He smacked his lips and said, "It's a pity that the car cost tens of millions. It's also because you don't pay attention to maintaining the car." Shi Sinan smiled and said, "As long as you're fine, it's fine. If you lose the car, you can buy another one. People are the most important." Ning Shu was speechless. Although he knew that Shi Sinan had white eyes, he didn't expect it to be like this. Ning Shu found it especially ridiculous that she said such things when she didn't have any financial ability. Shi Sinan didn't have any concept of money. For her, she could buy anything she wanted with a swipe of her card. She wouldn't scrimp and scrimp for cosmetics and bags like ordinary girls. To be honest, Shi Sinan's life wasn't worth tens of millions. If someone paid to kill Shi Sinan's price definitely wouldn't be high. She had no value at all. Ning Shu frowned tightly, his face full of annoyance. Shi Muching just smiled coldly and glanced at Ning Shu's face. Finally, he said, "Sister, you have crow's feet at the corners of your eyes. You have to take care of yourself. Don't get angry so often. Be more open-minded. Otherwise, what if you die of anger?" This body was already more than 40 years old. Mocking a woman like this was simply forcing her to flip out at any moment. Ning Shu smiled. "I'm not angry. Why should I be? I wasn't the one who got into the car accident." Shi Sinan knew that Ning Shu was angry, but she didn't know why. Shi Sinan felt that her mother had changed. She wasn't as gentle to her as before, which made Sinan a little angry. She stiffened her neck and didn't speak to Ning Shu. Besides, she didn't feel that she had done anything wrong. Ning Shu went upstairs to take a shower. Ning Shu wasn't tired in the face of the ruthless Shi Muching, but in the face of Shirlina's daughter, Ning Shu felt powerless from the bottom of his heart. Ning Shu didn't know if he was too realistic. In the face of such an innocent and beautiful Shi Sinan, he wanted to strangle her to death. Children were all debts. Encountering a daughter like Shi Sinan, Ning Shu felt that Shirlina must have destroyed the universe in her previous life to have committed such a huge sin. Shi Sinan wasn't like the straightforward and swift Shirlina at all. The romance in her bones was from her father. All of them were otherworldly, but Shirlina was stained with the stench of money. This car accident had scratched Shi Muching's skin a little and made him alert. He had to think of a new way to kill Shi Muching, but he couldn't put himself in danger. Shi Muching had dark forces under him and a company on the surface. It was really difficult to deal with. Chapter 772. But there was a hurdle to overcome first, which was Shi Sinan's 18th birthday. Although Ning Shu didn't like Shi Sinan, she couldn't watch Shi Muching bully Shirlina's daughter like this. If she could help Shi Sinan avoid this incident, she might get more points. But even if she avoided it this time, there would be the next time, and the time after that. She couldn't hang Shi Sinan on her belt. She was so tired that her heart was about to explode. During dinner, Shi Muching glanced at Ning Shu and said to the old man, "Dad, I want to call the police to investigate this car accident." Shi Muqing's eyes were fixed on Ning Shu as he spoke. Obviously, he was implying something. The old man glanced at Shi Muqing and then at Ning Shu. He didn't say anything for a long time. Ning Shu ate calmly. Who are you trying to scare? Your car was burned to such an extent. What can you investigate? Buy a new car. The old man tried to smooth things over. Shi Muqing's expression was cold and his eyes flashed with hostility. He said indifferently, I'll listen to you, Dad. Ning Shu didn't say anything and ate silently. Most of the dishes on the table were eaten by Ning Shu. Shi Muqing put down his chopsticks and said to Shi Sinan, Niece, come and help uncle to the sofa. Shi Sinan put down her chopsticks and was about to stand up to help Shi Muqing. Ning Shu pressed Shi Sinan to the chair and said with a smile, Brother, let me help you. Ning Shu walked around the table and walked to Shi Muqing's side. Shi Muqing narrowed his eyes slightly and said with a smile, Thank you, sister. Shi Muqing said as he stretched out his arms. Ning Shu helped Shi Muqing to the sofa. When Shi Muqing sat on the sofa, Ning Shu kicked Shi Muqing's wound. Shi Muqing groaned and his face was a little pale. He turned to look at Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled. Brother, what else do you want? Shi Muqing's eyes flashed with hostility, but he smiled. Thank you, sister. His voice was filled with mockery and malice as he called her sister. Ning Shu said, If you need anything, just call the servants at home. Tomorrow I will buy you a pair of crutches so that you can go wherever you want. There was a sinister smile on Shi Muqing's face, which made him look evil. Thank you, sister. Buy a few more, just in case. Ning Shu smiled, not caring about Shi Muqing's curses and threats at all. When Shi Muqing saw the calm Ning Shu, his expression was a little unhappy. He turned to Shi Sinan and said, Niece, in order to repay you for helping your uncle today, you can ask your uncle if there's anything you don't understand about your homework. Okay, Shi Sinan replied with a smile. Her eyes were curved, and she looked obedient and lovely. Sinan is such a good girl. Shi Muqing winked at Shi Sinan. Then she turned to Ning Shu and said, Sinan is really a beautiful and tender girl. Ning Shu, she actually used tender to describe Shi Sinan. This kind of lewd description. This bitch was deliberately using Shi Sinan to provoke her and sow discord between her and her daughter. However, when Ning Shu saw such a well-behaved Shi Sinan, she sneered in her heart. Behind every great scumbag, there was a woman shrouded in the glory of the Virgin Mary. The scumbag slapped her, gave her a sweet date, and vowed to repent, which made her heart soften. She was abused to death, fell into the water in a car accident, was schemed against to have a miscarriage, lost her mother, lost her father, and her whole family died. As long as the female lead didn't die, she would fall in love with the perverted scumbag and be willing to bear his children. You scumbag, I'm cheap. When the scumbag met the saintess, it was better than countless people in the world. Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan, Your uncle is injured. Let him have a good rest. Go to my room, and I will explain the questions to you. Shi Sinan looked at Shi Muqing and was about to nod when Shi Muqing said, Sister, I only injured my leg, not my brain. I can explain the questions to my niece. Besides, I only have one niece. If I don't treat her well, who will I treat well? Shi Muqing raised her eyebrows and touched her lips with her slender white fingers. Ning Shu smiled provocatively. His movements were incomparably devilish and full of charm. Sure enough, women loved bad men. She could be flirted with any minute. Ning Shu just wanted to give her a big slap in the face. What a pretentious prick. Do you want your uncle to explain the questions to you? Ning Shu asked Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan looked into her mother's and uncle's eyes and suddenly had the illusion of facing a life choice. Shi Sinan saw that her uncle was winking at her. That kind of gaze made Shi Sinan's face burn, and even her heart beat faster. Shi Sinan felt that she was now in an inexplicable atmosphere. Ning Shu walked over, put her hand on Shi Sinan's shoulder, and led her upstairs. Some things are more convenient for us women to talk about. When Shi Sinan went up the stairs, she couldn't help but look back at Shi Muqing. Shi Muqing had an ambiguous smile on the corner of his mouth, which made Shi Sinan blush again. Shi Sinan couldn't help but cover her heart, feeling that her heart was beating wildly. In the bedroom, Ning Shu looked at Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan felt a little uncomfortable and said, "I'm going to take a shower." She hurried into the bathroom. In the face of Shi Muqing's deliberate approach, how could the pure and innocent Shi Sinan resist? Shi Sinan took a shower, and her skin was tender and rosy. No wonder she could attract wolves. Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan, "Sinan, after your 18th birthday party, I plan to send you abroad to further your studies." Leaving Shi Muqing was the best choice. She might not be able to guard against wolves every day. Besides, in the face of Shi Muqing's deliberate teasing, how could she resist with her looks and money? Shi Sinan was stunned for a moment and said in confusion, "Mom, why are you suddenly sending me abroad? I'm going to take the college entrance exam soon." Ning Shu said, "After careful consideration, I feel that going abroad is the best training for you. The children of rich families of your age have all gone abroad." Shi Sinan looked at Ning Shu with tears in her eyes. "Mom, you don't love me anymore. You made me go to work before, and now you want me to go abroad." "Ning Shu, I just want to rely on my own efforts to get into college and live an ordinary college life." Shi Sinan looked at Ning Shu pitifully. Ning Shu stared straight at Shi Sinan. "Give me back the card and go live an ordinary college life." What ordinary life? Why were people so greedy? They only cared about enjoying themselves and not taking responsibility. They enjoyed a rich life that others couldn't enjoy in their lifetime. They wanted freedom, and they also wanted freedom in love. Get lost, get lost, get lost. Mom, I don't want to go abroad. Shi Sinan was a little afraid of life abroad, and she had never left her family. Ning Shu said tiredly, "We'll talk about this after the birthday party." Shi Sinan couldn't help but shout, her voice full of accusation. Chapter 773. Seeing that Ning Shu was ignoring her, Shi Sinan was very angry. She took her things and rushed out of Ning Shu's room. Ning Shu didn't coax Shi Sinan. She wasn't her biological mother, so he didn't care about her at all. After Shi Sinan left, Ning Shu set up a spirit-gathering array in the room and began to cultivate. Shi Sinan was the main character, so she couldn't die. The unlucky one was a cannon fodder like her, so she had to increase her strength. Shi Sinan returned to her bedroom, turned on the light, and saw Shi Muqing lying on her bed. His shirt was unbuttoned, revealing his strong chest. Her uncle's head was resting on her pillow. For some reason, when Shi Sinan saw this scene, she felt that her uncle was really sexy to death. Shi Sinan felt that the temperature in the room was very high, and the blood in her body was boiling. She was sweating all over and didn't know where to put her hands and feet. This was obviously her room. Why did it feel like she had barged in by mistake? Shi Sinan couldn't even straighten her tongue. She stammered, "Uncle, why are you in my room?" Shi Muqing raised his hand to block the light. He looked around and raised his eyebrows. "This is your room." "Sorry, I'm in the wrong room." Shi Sinan waved her hand. "It's okay, uncle. You can go back to your room." Shi Muqing sat up, leaned back, and supported himself with his hands on the bed. His shirt reflected the shape of his muscles. He said lightly, "My leg hurts. Come and help me." Shi Sinan walked over to the bed and reached out to help him up. Shi Muqing smiled and grabbed Shi Sinan's arm. With a little force, he pulled Shi Sinan into his arms. Shi Muqing wrapped his arm around Shi Sinan's waist. Their bodies were tightly pressed together, and the warmth of their bodies radiated through their clothes. Shi Sinan was stunned at first. She stared blankly at Shi Muqing's face. It was suffocating up close, and their breaths intertwined. As if she had been scalded, Shi Sinan hurriedly jumped away. Her little face was full of confusion. She stammered, "Uncle." Shi Sinan felt as if she was sick. When she saw Shi Muqing, she always felt uneasy in her heart. She wanted to escape from Shi Muqing, but she couldn't help but approach him. Shi Muqing smirked and looked at Shi Sinan. "What's the matter? Can't I help Uncle up?" Shi Sinan controlled her urge to run away, but she didn't dare to get close to Shi Muqing. She stood there in a daze. Seeing that Shi Sinan was about to cry, Shi Muqing asked, "Did something happen to you?" Shi Sinan immediately slumped her shoulders and said, Mom wants to send me abroad. Shi Muqing's eyes sharpened and he asked softly, does Sinan want to go? Sure, Sinan immediately shook her head. I don't want to go. I don't know anyone overseas, and it's so far away. I'm a little scared. Shi Muqing smirked. I can help you. Sure, Sinan immediately looked at Shi Muqing and asked, Uncle, do you have any ideas? Go to your grandpa. I'll speak for you, Shi Muqing said as he got up from the bed. Sure, Sinan immediately ran over and hugged Shi Muqing's neck. She jumped happily and said, Thank you, Uncle. You're so nice. Shi Muqing lowered his head slightly and took a deep breath of Sure Sinan's scent. The corners of his mouth curled into a sinister smile. Sure Sinan belatedly realized that she was hugging her uncle, so she quickly let go of Shi Muqing's neck. Her face was red, and she was at a loss. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. Shi Muqing smiled and said, Uncle likes Sinan's closeness. Sure, Sinan was angry that Ning Shu wanted to send her abroad. When she saw Ning Shu the next morning, she didn't even greet him. She just puffed up her cheeks and huffed angrily. During breakfast, Sure Sinan said coquettishly to Old Master Sure, Grandpa, I don't want to go abroad. Old Master Sure was stunned. Go abroad? Shi Muqing just raised his eyebrows and looked at Ning Shu with a half-smile. I didn't say you should go abroad, Old Master Sure said. Sure Sinan immediately said, Mom said I should go abroad. Grandpa, I don't want to leave Grandpa. Grandpa, Sure Sinan shook Old Master Sure's arm, leaving him at a loss for a moment. He quickly said, Okay, you won't go abroad. You're such a pretty girl. You can't go abroad and spoil yourself. Shi Muqing held his coffee and said calmly, Why do you have to go abroad? Do you think you can gild yourself if you go abroad? The atmosphere overseas is very bad. Chaos, AIDS, drug abuse. 9 out of 10 children of rich families will be infected with bad habits when they go abroad. They won't learn anything and will become arrogant instead. Thank you, too. Sure Sinan smiled at Shi Muqing. Old Master Sure nodded. You can't go. Old Master Ning Shu said, Sinan's character is not suitable for going abroad. Mom, you see, Grandpa and Uncle don't approve of me going abroad, Sure Sinan said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn it, she was the bad guy. Ning Shu really wanted to flip the dining table. You can do whatever you want. Who the hell wants to care about you? Did you really think that others were willing to make such plans for you? Even if Sure Sinan wanted to go abroad, it was impossible for her to go alone. Arrangements had to be made. Ning Shu didn't know if Sure Sinan couldn't bear to part with her handsome uncle. Dad, whatever you say, Ning Shu said calmly. Sure Sinan's face suddenly broke into a smile. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Uncle. Then she said to Ning Shu, Thank you, Mom. The corners of Shi Muqing's mouth curled up and he took a sip of coffee. There was a gloating smile on his face. Ning Shu silently chanted the heart-cleansing mantra in his heart. He ate breakfast, finished 3 sandwiches, and drank a glass of milk. I'll take you to school, Ning Shu said to Sure Sinan. Sure Sinan was angry and guilty. Previously, she had roped in Grandpa and Uncle to pressure her mother. Now, she wanted to teach her a lesson on the way to school. Seeing that Sure Sinan wasn't speaking, Ning Shu asked, Aren't you going to school today? Isn't there a lot of homework? Sure Sinan reluctantly picked up her bag and followed Ning Shu out of the villa. After the car left the villa, Ning Shu stopped the car by the roadside and said, Sinan, you have to keep a distance from your uncle. But Sure Sinan asked Ning Shu. Uncle is family. You have to keep a distance from family. Your uncle is your elder, and he's also a man. Of course, you have to keep a distance, okay? Ning Shu felt exceptionally tired. Just like how you treat the boys in school. You have to keep a distance. If she could keep a distance from the boys in school, why couldn't she keep a distance from Shi Muqing? Don't talk nonsense about your uncle being family. It's not the same. Sure Sinan shook her head. Uncle is different from my classmates. It was indeed different. Her classmate wasn't as handsome as her uncle. Chapter 774. Ning Shu couldn't figure out why Sure Sinan refused to listen to her. Ning Shu almost couldn't suppress her irritation. Ning Shu took a deep breath and said, "You're a girl. You have to keep a distance from men, even if it's your uncle." "I know." Shi Xinan pursed her lips and nodded. Ning Shu said, "Since you know, you have to do it." "Mom, what's wrong with you? Why do you insist that I keep a distance from uncle? We live under the same roof and see each other all the time. How do you expect me to avoid uncle?" Shi Xinan couldn't stand it anymore and said, "Mom, I think you've become very strange recently." She was talking back again. The veins on Ning Shu's forehead were throbbing. Was she supposed to say that her uncle wanted to sleep with her? She was an obedient little bunny in front of Shi Muching, but in front of her mother, she was full of confidence. She gave birth to you and raised you, but she still had to put up with your little temper. "I'll do whatever I say." Ning Shu grabbed Shi Xinan's arm tightly and squeezed it hard. "If you have any opinions, keep them to yourself." "Mom, you're hurting me." "It hurts." Shi Xinan's little face was contorted in pain. "Oh, it hurts." Ning Shu let go of Shi Xinan's arm. With tears in her eyes, Shi Xinan turned and opened the car door to leave. Ning Shu grabbed Shi Xinan and asked, "Where are you going?" "We're going to school now." Shi Xinan cried and shouted at Ning Shu, "Mom, you're too much. You're blaming me for something for no reason. You weren't like this before." "Then what do you want me to do?" Ning Shu looked at Shi Xinan coldly. Shi Xinan bit her lip tightly. "I feel that Mom doesn't love me anymore. If I say a few words to you, it means that I don't love you anymore." "Fine, I don't love you anymore," Ning Shu said lightly. "Mom," Shi Xinan shouted loudly. Her voice was unusually ear-piercing in the car. Ning Shu picked his ear and slapped Shi Xinan's face. "Keep your voice down. I'm not deaf." He had wanted to fight for a long time. Slap. The loud slap stunned Shi Xinan, as if she had been slapped silly by Ning Shu. Shi Xinan covered her face and looked at Ning Shu in a daze. "Mom, you hit me." Shi Xinan's tears streamed down her face. "Mommy, you hit me." Shi Lina could never bear to lay a hand on Shi Xinan. She wouldn't even move a hair on her body. This was the first time in 18 years that she had been slapped in the face. Slapping someone in the face was an extremely insulting way of hitting someone, and Shi Xinan's self-esteem couldn't take it. Shi Xinan opened the car door and was about to dash off when Ning Shu grabbed her and pulled her back into the car seat. "Sit properly." "Mom, how could you do this?" Shi Xinan cried. "Mom, shut up. Don't shout again," Ning Shu said coldly. He locked the car door and drove to school. Along the way, Shi Xinan cried and covered her stinging face. Her nose was bright red, and she looked very pitiful. When they arrived at school, Ning Shu pulled Shi Xinan to the principal's office and told the principal that she wanted to transfer schools. Upon hearing that, Shi Xinan forgot to cry. Ning Shu shouted, "Mom, why do you want to transfer schools?" "I don't want to transfer schools." Ning Shu ignored Shi Xinan. He took Shi Xinan's school record from the school and stuffed her into the car. Shi Xinan cried and hit the car window. "Mom, don't do this to me." Ning Shu ignored the pitiful Shi Xinan. He wouldn't listen to her no matter what she said. He couldn't be bothered to talk to her now. Ning Shu drove the car. Shi Xinan grabbed Ning Shu's arm and begged Ning Shu, "Mom, I don't want to transfer schools. I'm going to college soon." Ning Shu shook off Shi Xinan's hand. He was driving now. If he grabbed her hand, she would die in a car accident. Ning Shu's face was cold. Shi Xinan sobbed and took out her phone to call Old Master. Ning Shu grabbed Shi Xinan's phone and threw it on the seat of longevity noodles. Shi Xinan looked at Ning Shu in shock, and her tears flowed even faster. "Mom, how could you do this? You're too much." "Mom, I don't want to transfer schools. Can you respect my wishes? I'm not a puppet doll." Shi Xinan broke down and shouted at Ning Shu. Ning Shu glanced at Shi Xinan coldly. "What do you mean by respecting your wishes? Right now, you're eating my food, wearing my clothes, and relying on me to survive. When you can support yourself and have the confidence to do so, you can talk to me about your wishes and freedom." Ning Shu drove to the school in the suburbs. This was a military-style school that was completely closed off. Shi Sinan stood at the school gate and looked at the high walls. The school gate was a high iron gate, and she couldn't hear anything inside at all. Shi Sinan was a little scared. Ning Shu shouted, "Mom!" Ning Shu pulled Shi Sinan into the school and transferred Shi Sinan's school record. "Mom, don't do this to me. What did I do wrong?" Shi Sinan cried and shouted at Ning Shu. "I don't want to be in this school." This school's facilities couldn't compare to the previous private school. In the past, the students who were in the same school as her were all of the same level, and their families were all rich and powerful. Shi Sinan was a little scared to adapt to a new school. Don't you want to rely on university? In this school, you can study without any distractions. Ning Shu handed Shi Sinan over to her form teacher. The form teacher was a woman in her 40s, and she had a strong and tough aura. Ning Shu donated computers and some sports facilities to the school on the condition that Shi Sinan was trained well. Ning Shu confiscated Shi Sinan's bank card and phone. Shi Sinan's eyes were filled with tears. "Mom, what should I do without these things? I've already paid for your tuition and meals. You don't need money at all in school," Ning Shu said indifferently. "Mom." Shi Sinan still wanted to plead with Ning Shu. Shi Sinan's form teacher said to Shi Sinan, "Shi Sinan, please go into the classroom." The form teacher spoke with an authoritative tone. Shi Sinan bit her lip and entered the classroom. Ning Shu's form teacher said, "I'll have to trouble you with this child. Besides me, no one can take her away. If anyone comes to visit her, please call me. They can only visit if I say so." Ning Shu finished dealing with Shi Sinan's matter and left the school. This kind of military-style school was generally for children with poor self-control or serious internet addiction. The military-style school was very strict, and they had to do everything by themselves. Most importantly, they had to undergo physical training. Shi Sinan's delicate body ran around the field under the sun, ate from a big pot of rice, slept in a dormitory with many people, washed her own clothes, and had no servants to serve her. She could only rely on herself. Shi Sinan, who didn't do any household chores, couldn't take it. Chapter 775. Ning Shu had long been impatient with Shi Sinan. Out of sight, out of mind. The most important thing was that this kind of school only had one day off every month. This way they could avoid shimuching. After leaving the school, Ning Shu went to a rather high-end clubhouse. Ning Shu parked the car at the entrance and looked at the clubhouse. This clubhouse belonged to shimuching. The most important thing was that it hid filth. The most profiteering was either drug trafficking or prostitution. This clubhouse had both. Moreover, this clubhouse was for rich people to play. It went the high-end route. Otherwise, how could shimuching have so much capital? With the money that his uncle had taken away back then, how could he have developed to this state? This story should be called, My Husband. This clubhouse was discovered by Shirlina. Since she regarded shimuching as her biggest competitor, it was impossible for Shirlina not to investigate shimuching. She found out that shimuching wasn't her uncle's son and also discovered shimuching's power. Before she could do anything, she was hit and killed. The driver took the initiative to admit that he was drunk. Even if the driver was put in jail, Shirlina was already dead. Ning Shu scanned the clubhouse. It would take some time to infiltrate the interior, and it would be a little difficult. However, even if it was an iron bucket, he could still find a crack. Ning Shu decided to find a private detective. Ning Shu's purpose of finding a private detective was to obtain the situation in Shimuching's clubhouse, especially evidence of prostitution and drug trafficking. Ning Shu wasn't afraid of spending more money. Private detectives were a product of the gray area. Whether it's photos or videos, it's fine, Ning Shu said to the private detective. Ning Shu took out a few stacks of money from his bag. Take this money to bribe the clubhouse's staff. Bribe them if you can. The private detective took the money and accepted the task. However, Ning Shu said, you and I both need to keep this matter a secret. The background of this clubhouse is not simple. If you tell anyone, I won't be able to survive. Ning Shu nodded. Okay. After talking to the private investigator, Ning Shu went to the company to work. She suddenly felt very good. Without Shi Sinan by her side, she didn't feel like she was going crazy anymore. When he got off work in the evening, Ning Shu returned to the villa. When he walked into the house, he saw Shi Mucheng in the living room constantly looking at the door with a puzzled and worried expression. Shi Mucheng looked out of the window from time to time. The sky was already turning dark. Ning Shu sneered in her heart. You can just wait and see. When Shi Mucheng saw Ning Shu, he couldn't ask Ning Shu where Shi Sinan had gone. He looked a little anxious. Shi Mucheng walked to the front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu deliberately bumped into Shi Mucheng heavily. Shi Mucheng's figure didn't even shake. His lower body was steady. Moreover, it was under the condition that he was injured. From this, it could be seen that Shi Mucheng's martial strength was not weak. How could he not have any self-defense ability since he was young? He should be proficient in grappling techniques. It seemed that it would be troublesome to get close to him. Shi Mucheng narrowed his eyes and looked at Ning Shu. He said indifferently, "Sister, shouldn't you apologize to me for bumping into me?" Ning Shu said, "Sorry, I left in a hurry." Shi Mucheng sized up Ning Shu with a suspicious look in his eyes. He had obviously sensed that the woman in front of him had some martial strength. He didn't know that his sister knew how to fight. Ning Shu went upstairs. As soon as he reached the bedroom, the phone in his bag vibrated. It was Shi Sinan's phone. Ning Shu hung up the phone, took out the SIM card, threw it into the toilet, and flushed it away. Downstairs, Shi Mucheng listened to the notification on the phone, frowned tightly, and kept looking out the door. When Ning Shu went downstairs, he saw Shi Mucheng walking around the living room with his lame leg. What was this called? He said he was taking revenge on Shi Sinan, but deep down he was worried about her. Bitches were pretentious. Shi Mucheng picked up his phone and called Shi Sinan again, but the result was the same. Ning Shu drank water leisurely. He couldn't get through even if he blew up the phone. It wasn't just the SIM card. Ning Shu also deleted all the social media accounts on Shi Sinan's phone and changed the passwords for the ones that couldn't be deleted. Even if she went online at school, Shi Sinan wouldn't be able to contact her family, so she had to stay at school. Shi Mucheng called several times in a row, but couldn't get through. He was shrouded in a powerful aura, full of murderous intent and hostility, and his face was extremely cold. Shi Mucheng frowned even more when he saw Ning Shu's leisurely look. It was already dark outside, and Shi Sinan hadn't come back yet. Shi Mucheng was angry and anxious. As he flirted with her, he gave her his heart. When it was time for dinner, the old man came back from visiting friends and found that one person was missing in the house. Ning Shu said, "Where's Sinan? Why didn't she come down for dinner?" Shi Mucheng stared at Ning Shu. Ning Shu gulped down a bowl of soup, wiped his hands slowly, and said to the old man, "I sent her to the military management school." The old man was stunned for a moment. "Why did you suddenly send her to such a school? Sinan won't be able to take it. And there are very few school holidays like this." The old man looked at Ning Shu. "You've been too strict with Sinan recently." Ning Shu said indifferently, "Sinan isn't young anymore. She'll be 18 in a few days. It's time for her to know." Shi Mucheng clenched his chopsticks so tightly that his knuckles turned white, and he looked at Ning Shu with a bone-chilling gaze. The old man said again, "It's Sinan's 18th birthday party in a few days. I'll pick her up for the party, and then send her back to school," Ning Shu said indifferently. "Up to you. You're the one in charge now." The old man was rarely in charge now. He was in a state of retirement, and when he had nothing to do, he would do some elderly activities with people his age. However, the old man had the most shares in his hands. It seemed that Ning Shu was in charge, but the old man was still the one in charge when it came to the big decisions. Shi Mucheng looked at Ning Shu coldly. He hadn't let Shi Sinan go abroad in the morning, and in the blink of an eye, he had sent her to a closed military management school. "Sister, what are you worrying about?" Shi Mucheng said coldly with a smirk. "I'm afraid that the dog will miss it," Ning Shu replied. Shi Sinan was a delicious bun, and Shi Mucheng was a dog. Shi Mucheng curled his lips. "Something that can make people miss it is a good thing." They'll definitely try to get it. Ning Shu said indifferently, I'm just afraid that the dog will break its teeth. Shimuching narrowed his eyes slightly. Something that you've worked so hard to get is a good thing. No, it's better to get it and then destroy it. What's mine is mine. I won't give it to anyone else even if it's destroyed. Ning Shu thought, bitch, this thing should be Shi Sinan. It was really inexplicable. She hated the Shi family for no reason. This was a feud between the Shi brothers, and it had nothing to do with Shimuching, who didn't have the Shi family's bloodline. Chapter 776. He didn't know where Shimuching got his confidence from. It was as if everyone owed him something. The Shi family's matters had nothing to do with him. First, he killed Shirlina and took the position of CEO of the company. Then, he killed Old Master Shi and obtained his shares. After that, he fell in love with Shi Sinan and hurt each other. Oh, in the end, he found out that he had been tricked by his adoptive father. The truth was not what his adoptive father had said, and he vowed to confess to Shi Sinan. Finally, there was a happy ending. Lunatic, go to hell. The next day, Ning Shu received a call from Shi Sinan's form teacher, saying that someone had come to visit Shi Sinan at school. It was a man. Ning Shu. He was really in a hurry to visit Shi Sinan early in the morning. Ning Shu said directly to the form teacher, no visits. Don't worry about him. No one can visit except me. The form teacher agreed and hesitated for a moment before saying, student Shi Sinan isn't used to school life. Shi Sinan's state in school could be said to be outstanding. She was completely out of it. She didn't know how to fold her blanket and didn't know how to line up for food. In any case, she was just dumbfounded and looked like a retard. Ning Shu said indifferently, it's okay. She'll get used to it after a long time. Teacher, you don't have to be polite with her. Shimuching, who didn't see Shi Sinan, came back and threw the jacket in his hand heavily on the sofa. He looked at Ning Shu with a cold, murderous gaze. Ning Shu smiled. Brother, why are you so angry early in the morning? It was hard for him to run to see Shi Sinan when his leg was injured. It would be strange if he saw her. Shimuching's lips curled into a cold smile. He was expressionless and no longer angry. He said in a mocking voice, I was bitten by a mad dog. Brother, you have to be careful. Mad dogs are poisonous, Ning Shu said with a smile. Shimuching walked over to Ning Shu with his long legs and looked down at Ning Shu. I see that your sister is also a martial artist. Why don't the two of us exchange pointers? Ning Shu shook his head. Little brother's leg is still injured. How can big sister bully him? Shimuching said carelessly, ignore it. I've suffered more serious injuries before. When my sister lived in a luxurious house, I had to fight with some hooligans just to get some food. Ning Shu, what does it have to do with me? What's wrong with living in a big house? Shimuching had a hard time when he was young. His cheap uncle beat and scolded him. If he didn't do well, he would beat him. Then Shimuching transferred this resentment to the old man. Ning Shu rolled up his sleeves and lightly said, little brother, you have to yield to this big sister. Shimuching coldly curled his lips and reached out to grab Ning Shu's shoulder. His long legs swept towards Ning Shu's lower body like the wind. His attack was very ruthless. Ning Shu grabbed Shimuching's hand that was on his shoulder and kicked Shimuching's leg that was sweeping towards him. It felt as if he had kicked an iron plate. Ning Shu's leg was numb from the shock. Ning Shu turned his body and wanted to throw Shimuching over his shoulder. However, Shimuching's body was very strong. Ning Shu couldn't carry him over his shoulder for the first time. Shimuching smiled coldly and moved closer to Ning Shu's ear. He whispered, big sister, is this taking the initiative to crawl into little brother's arms? Ning Shu's ears twitched. Shimuching's hot breath blew into his ear. Ning Shu had goosebumps all over his body and his hair stood on end. So disgusting. Ning Shu mobilized the strength in his body and used all his strength to heavily throw Shimuching to the ground. Shimuching smashed onto the ground with a bang. Shimuching groaned. Just as he was about to get up, Ning Shu stepped on his chest and crushed it with all his strength. Shimuching felt that this woman's leg was like a huge rock pressing down on his chest. His heart couldn't take it anymore and was beating very fast. Ning Shu smiled. Little brother, why are you really letting big sister do it? Shi Muching, on the other hand, was lying on the ground with a comfortable expression. He rested his head on his palm and said indifferently, "It's very comfortable to be under big sister's feet." Is that so? Ning Shu smiled and used all his strength to crush his chest. Shi Muching groaned and his face was a little pale. Is it comfortable? Ning Shu asked. Shi Muching reached out and grabbed Ning Shu's ankle. His thumb scratched the skin of Ning Shu's ankle. Ning Shu said, "Big sister's ankle is very beautiful." Shi Muching said as he put his hand to the tip of his nose and took a deep breath. It's very fragrant. Shi Muching looked at Ning Shu and smiled evilly. Ning Shu didn't get angry and said indifferently, "Is that so? It's very fragrant." Shi Muching took another breath and seemed to be savoring the aftertaste. Ning Shu said indifferently, "I didn't wash my feet." Ignoring Shi Muching's somewhat stunned expression, he raised his foot and stepped on Shi Muching's face, crushing it with all his strength. Shi Muching grabbed Ning Shu's ankle and used all his strength. Ning Shu fell to the ground. Shi Muching turned over and pressed down on Ning Shu. Ning Shu kicked Shi Muching away and kicked him a short distance away. Shi Muching covered his chest and coughed, wiping the blood from his nose that was stepped on by Ning Shu. Shi Muching looked at Ning Shu and actually laughed. I didn't expect big sister to be so powerful. Thanks for letting me win, little brother, Ning Shu said with a smile. Ning Shu picked up his bag and left the villa to go to work. Shi Muching wiped the blood on his lips with his thumb and looked coldly at Ning Shu's back. Ning Shu left the villa. As soon as he got into the car, he immediately rubbed his ankle with a grimace. The ankle that was pinched by Shi Muching had turned a little purple. The day before Shi Sinan's 18th birthday, Ning Shu went to school to pick Shi Sinan up to attend the banquet. When Ning Shu saw Shi Sinan, he was a little surprised because the current Shi Sinan was a little different from the previous Pifumai. The current Shi Sinan's skin was a little darker than before. It was probably because she didn't have any natural cosmetics to maintain her skin, which made her skin a little rougher. She was a lot more haggard and was a little different from the sweet and obedient girl from before. So a fair complexion covered up three ugly things. When Shi Sinan saw Ning Shu, tears fell down her face. She looked at Ning Shu and didn't speak for a long time. Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan, "Get in the car." Shi Sinan wiped her tears and got into the car. She looked at Ning Shu and said in a sobbing voice, "Mom, what did I do wrong? Why are you doing this to me?" Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "What did I do to you? You said you wanted to go to university, so I transferred you to this kind of school. You'll be in school for a month, and no one will disturb your studies," Ning Shu said with a cold expression. "But this school is really bad, Shi Sinan said while crying. She had to run every day and she had to wash clothes. She had never washed clothes before. In the morning when she was still asleep, she was woken up by the noisy whistle and had to fold her own quilt. She folded it neatly, and it was as angular as a piece of tofu. If she didn't fold it well, the teacher would make someone fold it until it was done. Chapter 777. Anyway, this school made Shi Sinan feel at a loss. The pace was so fast that she had to do something at one point and then what to do at the next point. Shi Sinan had no way to adapt to such a life at all. She didn't have a closet of clothes for her to change into, and the school only gave her 3 sets of uniforms. Shi Sinan didn't know how to wash clothes. The clothes were soaked in the water and then hung on the drying rack wet. She didn't even know how to twist them. The food wasn't as delicious as the food at home, which made Shi Sinan very uncomfortable. Once, Shi Sinan even ate a green worm. This made Shi Sinan lose her appetite for the whole day. Shi Sinan almost lived with tears in her eyes. She just wanted her family to quickly come and take her away. Her phone was confiscated, and she couldn't contact her family. Shi Sinan felt that she had fallen from one world to another. "Mom, I don't want to go to that school," Shi Sinan pleaded with Ning Shu. "It's okay. You're about to take your exams. When you enter university, you'll leave that school," Ning Shu said indifferently. Sure Sinon was about to break down. Ning Shu shouted sharply, "Mom, you weren't like this before. Mom, you don't love me anymore." Ning Shu smiled very gently. "Of course I do. Why wouldn't I love you? But why did you send me to such a school? Mom, I want to go back to my previous school. Please, I will listen to you in the future," Ning Shu pleaded. Ning Shu reached out to touch Sure Sinon's head and said, "Good girl, be good." Sure Sinon seemed to be frightened. Her body convulsed, and she cried silently. As soon as she got home, Sure Sinon rushed into the house, ready to find her grandfather and beg him not to let her go to the military management school. Sure Sinon had just rushed into the living room when she saw Shi Muching sitting on the sofa. For some reason, Sure Sinon immediately covered her face, not wanting Shi Muching to see her in such a sorry state. When Shi Muching saw Sure Sinon, he stood up and walked towards her. But after taking 2 steps, he stopped. He glanced at Sure Sinon and said, "Why didn't you say hello when you saw your uncle?" Sure Sinon lowered her head and called out softly, "Uncle." Shi Muching looked at Sure Sinon's body, which made Sure Sinon's face a little hot. Shi Muching said, "Yes, you've lost a lot of weight." When Sure Sinon heard this, she felt a lump in her throat and almost cried. Ning Shu drove the car to the garage. When he reached the living room, he saw Sure Sinon and Shi Muching standing opposite each other. There was an inexplicable atmosphere between them. Ning Shu walked over and held Sure Sinon's hand. "Go upstairs and take a shower. Your grandfather will be back later." Sure Sinon kept her head down as she followed Ning Shu upstairs. She felt that her uncle's gaze was fixed on her. Sure Sinon's heart warmed. At least her uncle cared about her. He didn't want her mother to be so cold and heartless. Sure Sinon took a shower and took out an exquisite and beautiful dress from the wardrobe. She looked at herself in the mirror and realized that her face didn't match the dress. She used to look beautiful in it, but her skin was a little tanned at school, so she didn't look the same in the dress. Sure Sinon bit her lip tightly, picked up the makeup on the dressing table, and put a layer of powder on her face and neck. Only then did she look much better. Ning Shu was waiting for Sure Sinon outside the room. When Sure Sinon came out, Ning Shu saw that Sure Sinon had paled several shades. Did she put on makeup? Sure Sinon felt a little uncomfortable under Ning Shu's stare. She called out, "Yes, your grandfather is back," Ning Shu said. Sure Sinon immediately held onto the handrail and ran downstairs. Ning Shu heard Sure Sinon whining to Old Master from upstairs. Anyway, she didn't want to go to that unlucky school anymore. It was simply a disaster. Old Master had previously rejected Ning Shu's request to not let the child go abroad, so he couldn't object again. Old Master smiled at Sure Sinon and told her that her mother was doing it for her own good. Sure Sinon was stunned. She wanted to cry, but when she thought of the makeup on her face, she forced herself to hold back her tears. Seeing Sure Sinon like this, Old Master said, "See, Sinon has become much stronger after going to such a school." Ning Shu, Shi Muching said casually, "Sinon is the eldest daughter of the Sure family. She doesn't need to go to such a school to waste her time. There are some things that she doesn't need to do personally. It's simply a waste of time. If she has the time to wash clothes, she might as well learn something useful and create more value. Sinon doesn't have the life of washing clothes or folding blankets." Sure Sinon was very touched to see Shi Muching speak up for her. She whispered to Shi Muching, "Thank you, uncle." Shi Muching smiled. His eyes met with Ning Shu, who was standing on the stairs. The corners of his mouth curled up into a mocking and contemptuous smile. He looked at Ning Shu, but said to Sure Sinon, "I'm your uncle. It's only right for me to dote on you." Ning Shu's expression was cold, and he ignored Shi Muching's mockery and provocation. Old Master said, "Don't think too much. Tomorrow is your birthday party. You have to be beautiful and happy." Sure Sinon acted coquettishly for a long time, but her grandfather didn't feel comfortable, which made her very depressed. After dinner, Ning Shu said to Sure Sinon, "Sleep with me tonight." Ning Shu was afraid that something would happen at night. Shi Muching's beastly nature would be unleashed. After midnight, Sure Sinon would be 18 years old. Sure Sinon was angry that her mother treated her so coldly. She said, I'll sleep by myself. I'm not a child anymore. Didn't you say that I need to be independent? She had a glib tongue. But in front of Shimuching, it was as if she had cut her tongue. Ning Shu didn't say anything. He went back to his room, set up a spirit-gathering array, and cultivated for a while. At about 10 o'clock, Ning Shu took the key and opened Shi Sinan's room. He planned to stay in Shi Sinan's room tonight. As soon as Ning Shu opened the door, he saw Shimuching sitting by the bed and Shi Sinan sitting on the bed. When Shi Sinan saw Ning Shu, he immediately called out in a panic, "Mom." Shimuching turned his head. When he saw Ning Shu, the corners of Ning Shu's mouth curled up, looking fearless. Ning Shu was furious. He clenched his fist and was about to hit Shimuching's face. Shimuching quickly grabbed Ning Shu's fist and curled the corners of his mouth. I've been tricked once. Don't you think I'll be on guard? Ning Shu sneered. What are you doing in Sinan's room in the middle of the night? Shimuching sneered. Do you think, ouch? Before Shimuching could finish speaking, he felt a sharp pain in his lower body. He looked down and saw a foot on his manhood. The man's weak spot was hit hard, and Shimuching immediately bent over in pain. Ning Shu withdrew his fist from Shimuching's hand. He didn't have hands, but he had feet. Uncle. Shi Sinan looked at Shimuching worriedly. Chapter 778. Ning Shu looked at Shimuching, who was leaning against the wall with his legs between his legs. Murderous intent rose in his heart, and he decided to kill him directly. Shimuching was in so much pain that cold sweat rolled down his forehead. He looked at Ning Shu with bloodshot eyes, and the atmosphere was stagnant. Shi Sinan hurriedly got out of bed and stood in front of Ning Shu, holding up an exquisitely wrapped box. Mom. Shi Sinan said to Ning Shu, Uncle is here to give me a birthday present. Ning Shu pushed Shi Sinan away and said coldly, Can't the birthday present be given at the banquet tomorrow? Uncle said that he would give me a special surprise, Shi Sinan said quickly. Uncle said that there is a present now, and there will be a present tomorrow. Shut up, I didn't ask you. Ning Shu scolded. He came to your room in the middle of the night to give you something. He is your uncle. In ancient times, even biological siblings had to be careful and wouldn't easily enter a woman's boudoir. He is just your uncle. Shi Sinan was stunned by Ning Shu's scolding, and then she said, What era is this? Even if the era had changed, the difference between men and women still existed. Moreover, Shimuching had unfathomable feelings for Shi Sinan. Could it be that Shi Sinan, as a woman, didn't have any strange feelings? She should still have some feelings about whether he treated her as a junior or a woman. Ning Shu took a deep breath and felt that his lungs were about to explode. If it weren't for the fact that Shi Sinan was the star of the banquet tomorrow, Ning Shu really wanted to slap her into a pig's head. Fortunately, she wasn't his daughter. Ning Shu ignored Shimuching, whose face had darkened, and took Shi Sinan's hand to the old man's bedroom. Ning Shu knocked on the old man's door. The old man had already fallen asleep. He opened the door in a daze and saw Ning Shu's angry face. Shi Sinan looked uneasy and asked, What's the matter? Dad, what does Shimuching mean by going to Sinan's room in the middle of the night? What does he want to do? Ning Shu said, You'd better investigate this Shimuching. Grandpa, Uncle came to my room to give me a birthday present, said Shi Sinan. The old man smiled. It's just a gift. I'll talk to him tomorrow and tell him to be careful. Ning Shu frowned. Go to sleep, the old man said. You're old. You can't stay up late. The old man closed the door as he spoke. Ning Shu let out a long sigh. He pulled Shi Sinan to his bedroom and said to her, Sleep here. Shi Sinan held the gift from Shimuching tightly in her hand. She hadn't opened the gift yet, so she didn't know what was inside. Seeing that Ning Shu was about to leave, Shi Sinan hurriedly asked, Mom, where are you going? To see your uncle, Ning Shu said. Shi Sinan immediately said, Mom, there's nothing between Uncle and me. Mom, don't fight with Uncle anymore. By the time something happened, it would be too late. Ning Shu wanted to directly cripple Shimuching, but Shimuching was a gangster and was very vigilant. He had used tricks to make Shi Muching suffer twice. Ning Shu looked at Shi Sinan, who was holding him, and pushed her hand away. When he opened the door, Shi Sinan's voice came from behind. "Mom, you're so scary now. No wonder Dad left us. Why don't you believe me?" Ning Shu paused. She was scary. Ning Shu suddenly wanted to laugh. The scary one was Shi Muching, who was full of hatred and wanted to kill the Shi family. In Shi Sinan's world, as long as someone didn't listen to her and didn't treat her well, she was scary. Why was she still so loyal to Shi Muching when he treated her so badly? Ning Shu smiled slightly. "I'm that scary." When Ning Shu arrived at Shi Sinan's room, Shi Muching was no longer inside. Ning Shu heard the sound of the engine outside and saw Shi Muching driving away from the villa from the window. Back in the bedroom, Ning Shu saw that Shi Sinan was still awake, holding the gift from Shi Muching in her hand. "Go to sleep. It's getting late. Get some rest," Ning Shu said to Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan lay down uneasily and looked at Ning Shu, who was sleeping next to her. She pursed her lips and said, "Mom?" Ning Shu turned his head and said calmly, "Go to sleep. Perform well tomorrow." Seeing such a calm Ning Shu, Shi Sinan felt even more uneasy and stopped talking to Ning Shu. Shi Sinan turned her body so that her back was facing Ning Shu. She secretly opened the gift. Inside the box was a necklace. It was very exquisite, and the pendant was a pink gem. Shi Sinan held the necklace in the palm of her hand and smiled slightly. This was the first birthday gift she had received on her 18th birthday. The next day, the villa was busy setting up the banquet in the evening. The villa's living room was large enough to hold a banquet. There were piles of champagne towers and all kinds of delicious food. Waiters in tuxedos were shuttling back and forth. After Shi Muching drove away last night, he didn't come back until the banquet was about to start. The designer was styling Shi Sinan. Ning Shu pushed the door open and walked in. When he saw Shi Sinan, who was beautifully dressed, he smiled and said, "Sinan, you're very beautiful. Happy birthday." "Thank you, Mom." Ning Shu saw a necklace around Shi Sinan's neck and asked, "Did the designer match this for you?" Shi Sinan quickly shook her head and said, "No, I thought this necklace was very beautiful, so I put it on." Ning Shu stared at the necklace. This should have been given to Shi Sinan by Shi Muching. Seeing Ning Shu staring at the necklace, Shi Sinan couldn't help but press her hand on the necklace and change the subject. "Mom, I'm a little nervous." "It's okay. I'll go down with you later." Ning Shu comforted her. The guests who came to attend the banquet came one after another. When the guests arrived, Old Master Shi said a few words of thanks. Amidst the applause, Ning Shu slowly walked down the stairs with Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan was a little nervous. Ning Shu patted her hand and said, "It's okay." Ning Shu took Shi Sinan to meet the elders. In the face of unfamiliar people, Shi Sinan was a little reserved. She addressed Ning Shu as he asked her to and didn't say a word more. She seemed absent-minded. Shi Sinan scanned the entire banquet hall from time to time, but didn't see her uncle. She was a little disappointed. What happened last night must have made her uncle angry. Shi Sinan touched the necklace around her neck, hoping that her uncle would attend the banquet. In Shi Sinan's heart, Shi Muching was the missing fatherly love in her life. Although it sometimes felt strange and her heart would beat faster in the face of her handsome uncle. Her heart was indeed full of joy for this uncle who had suddenly arrived. Ning Shu also looked around, but didn't see Shi Muching. Where the hell did he go? Just as Ning Shu was looking for Shi Muching's voice, all the lights in the banquet hall suddenly went out, causing a commotion. Ning Shu reflexively grabbed Shi Sinan's arm tightly and said loudly, "Don't worry, everyone. It's just a trip. It'll be fine soon." Chapter 779. The power suddenly went out, and the bright environment suddenly turned dark. It was so dark that one couldn't even see their fingers. Ning Shu grabbed Shi Sinan's arm tightly and waited for the lights to come on. Many people took out their phones, which lit up the banquet hall. Ning Shu vaguely saw someone walking straight towards Shi Sinan. It looked like Shi Muching. Shi Muching whispered something in Shi Sinan's ear and left. Without the light, Ning Shu couldn't see Shi Muqing's and Shi Sinan's expressions clearly, nor could he hear what Shi Muqing said to Sinan. Shi Muqing left after saying a few words to Shi Sinan. After Shi Muqing left, Shi Sinan said to Ning Shu, "Mom, I'm going to the bathroom." "Wait a minute. Wait for the electricity to come." Ning Shu was still holding Shi Sinan's arm tightly. "What did your uncle say to you just now?" Ning Shu asked. "No, nothing." Shi Sinan stammered. Ning Shu asked suspiciously, "Is it really nothing? I'm your mother. You can tell me anything." "That's right. Uncle prepared a birthday surprise for me and asked me to go out," Shi Sinan said. Ning Shu's face hardened, and he tightened his grip on Shi Sinan and said, "You're the star of the banquet. How can you suddenly run away? When the banquet is over, I'll go with you. It's not safe for you to go out so late." Getting close to Shi Muqing was simply courting death, meat delivered to his doorstep. This. Shi Sinan was a little hesitant. Her uncle had asked her to go alone, saying that it was a birthday surprise specially prepared for her. "The electricity will be here soon." Ning Shu said, "This birthday banquet is held for you. You have to stay at least until the end of the banquet. As a rich young lady, can't you even tolerate this?" Shi Sinan wanted to leave more and more. It was such a boring banquet, and her uncle must still be waiting for her outside the house. Shi Sinan suddenly pulled Ning Shu's hand away and said, "Mom, I'll be back soon." After saying that, Shi Sinan disappeared in a puff of smoke. Without any light, Ning Shu couldn't find Shi Sinan. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu lifted her skirt and ran out of the banquet hall. She saw a car drive away. Ning Shu looked at the disappearing taillights and sneered. The plot was irreversible. No, what was irreversible was not the plot, but the human heart. That handsome uncle of his was always right. "You're so handsome, everything you say is right." Ning Shu turned around and returned to the banquet hall. The banquet hall suddenly became bright as the electricity came. Ning Shu walked over to his father, who was talking to someone else, and said, "Dad, I have something to tell you." Grandpa Sheng followed Ning Shu to the side and asked, "What's wrong?" "Sinan is gone." Ning Shu looked at Grandpa Sheng. "She ran away with Shi Muqing." "Dad, I don't know why you indulge Shi Muqing so much, but his existence makes me feel like there's a fishbone in my throat," Ning Shu said directly. Grandpa Sheng was wearing a tang suit. With his hands behind his back, he frowned and asked, "Where did they go?" "I don't know." Ning Shu had completely given up on Shi Sinan and would never care about her again. Grandpa Sheng said, "I'll call Shi Muqing." Grandpa Sheng called Shi Muqing, but it didn't go through. Grandpa Sheng looked a little serious and said, "It's okay. They'll be back soon." Ning Shu was very dissatisfied with Grandpa Sheng's protection of Shi Muqing. She said, "Dad, why are you so good to Shi Muqing? He doesn't have the blood of the Shi family in him at all." Grandpa Sheng looked at Ning Shu. "Lena, you've lost your cool. Ning Shu, if you knew that the son in your household register was going to sleep with your granddaughter, you wouldn't be so calm." "Dad, Shi Muqing isn't Uncle's son. Otherwise, why isn't his surname Shi?" Ning Shu asked. "Have you investigated it clearly?" "Shi Muqing followed his mother's surname," Grandpa Sheng said. Ning Shu held her forehead and couldn't help but shake her head. "Dad, you're really old and muddle-headed." Ning Shu frowned. Grandpa Sheng was a business figure. How could he do such a stupid thing? Back then, Uncle had stolen the company's money and couldn't hold on without money. It was Grandpa Sheng who thought of a way to save the company. A person like Grandpa Sheng could only become more shrewd as he lived and cultivate into an old fox. Was it really because he felt guilty that he was so good to his son who had stolen the company's money? Or did Grandpa Sheng need Shi Muqing for something? Or was it because of Shi Muqing? He felt that things were a little complicated. Grandpa Sheng was killed by Shi Muqing in the end, but he didn't know the details. Ning Shu looked at Grandpa Sheng and finally shook his head. No matter what Grandpa Sheng's plan was, Shi Muqing had to die. Shi Muqing was a bloodthirsty wolf. If he couldn't be tamed, beating him to death was the safest. Otherwise, he would be harmed instead. Ning Shu couldn't be bothered to think about Shi Sinan's matter and talk to his business partners. Many people asked about Shi Sinan, probably because they wanted to become in-laws with the Shi family. Ning Shu just smiled and said that Shi Sinan was still young and had to go to university. She didn't have such plans in the next few years. For a daughter like Shi Sinan to marry into another family, it wasn't a marriage, but a feud. Shi Sinan, who was innocent, pure, beautiful, and unpretentious, wouldn't socialize with others like a rich man's wife. Ning Shu didn't intend to introduce Shi Sinan to her in-laws. Since she liked her uncle, then they should be together and never be separated in this lifetime. The banquet was still going on here, while Shi Sinan sat in Shimucheng's convertible car. The evening breeze blowing on her body was very comfortable. Shi Sinan couldn't help but raise her hand and say with a smile on her face, "It's so comfortable to come out. The banquet is suffocating." Shimucheng looked at Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan put down her hand a little embarrassedly and said with anticipation in her voice, "Uncle, what birthday present did you prepare for me?" Shimucheng had a wicked smile on his face, and his deep eyes were bright like the bright stars in the night. Shi Sinan looked at Shimucheng and was stunned. She felt that everything around her had disappeared, and only Shimucheng's face was in her eyes. "Silly." Shimucheng bent his finger and gently flicked Shi Sinan's forehead. After being touched by Shimucheng, Shi Sinan's face turned red. Her whole body was hot, and there was a faint sweetness in her heart. Shimucheng saw the affection in Shi Sinan's eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Shimucheng took Shi Sinan to the hotel. Shi Sinan looked at him blankly and asked, "Uncle, why did you bring me here?" Shimucheng actually took Shi Sinan's hand. Shi Sinan suddenly looked as if she had been startled. She wanted to withdraw her hand, but Shimucheng held it tightly. Shi Sinan's mind was in a mess, and she murmured, "Uncle? Uncle. The hotel is very big. I won't get lost holding on to you." Shimucheng smiled meaningfully. Chapter 780. Shi Sinan let Shimucheng hold her hand as they entered the hotel. Shimucheng pushed open the door of the suite. It was a presidential suite, but the interior was decorated like a dream. Shi Sinan was amazed, as if she had entered a castle. Shi Sinan walked into the room and said to Shimucheng in surprise, "Thank you, uncle. I like it very much." Shimucheng took out a shiny crown from behind him and put it on Shi Sinan's head. The diamond shone brightly under the light. "In my heart, you are a princess waiting to be rescued in the castle." Shimucheng's low and magnetic voice had a fatal attraction in such an environment. Shi Sinan's face flushed red. She touched the diamond crown on her head with a bright and sweet smile on her face. "Thank you, uncle." Shimucheng looked at Shi Sinan's smile, and his eyes deepened. He kissed Shi Sinan's forehead. Shi Sinan was a little stunned. She took 2 steps back in shock, but fell onto the sofa. Shimucheng's lips curled into a doting smile. He supported himself on the sofa and pressed Shi Sinan under him. "Why are you so careless?" Shi Sinan's heart was beating like thunder. The uneasiness in her heart made her tremble slightly in fear. Her woman's intuition told her that what happened next would be beyond her imagination. Shi Sinan put her hands on Shimucheng's chest and tried to push him away, but she couldn't. Shimucheng held Shi Sinan's hand and lowered his head to kiss her lips. It was very sweet. Shimucheng held the back of Shi Sinan's head and plundered her sweetness. Shi Sinan's mind was blank. She didn't know anything and was in a daze. The electric current on her lips spread to every corner of her body, making her body extremely weak. It was as if her soul had left her body. Shimucheng let go of Shi Sinan. When he saw Shi Sinan's appearance, he chuckled softly and picked up the dazed Shi Sinan. Shi Sinan immediately reacted and struggled, but Shimucheng held her tightly and she couldn't break free. "Niece, uncle will make you very happy." Shimucheng's voice was bewitching, like a demon tempting the world. No. The next day, the sun shone into the hotel room. There were messy clothes on the floor, and the two of them slept in each other's arms. Shi Sinan's eyelashes trembled as she opened her eyes. When she saw her uncle's exquisite and handsome face, Shi Sinan hurriedly sat up, but the blanket slipped off. Sher Sinon hurriedly wrapped the blanket around her chest. Shimuching woke up in a daze. When he opened his eyes and saw Sher Sinon, he abruptly turned over and pinned her down. "Uncle, you can't." Sher Sinon was about to cry. She actually had such a relationship with her uncle. Shimuching said with an evil smile, "Why not?" No. Sher Sinon hurriedly shook her head. "You're my uncle and my mother's younger brother. Little brother, my little brother is in your body." Shimuching laughed softly. Shimuching kissed Sher Sinon. Sher Sinon resisted, but her eyes were a little dazed. It was as if all the strength in her body had been sucked out by Shimuching. After Shimuching kissed her, he said with an evil smile, "Your mouth says no, but your body is very honest." Sher Sinon felt embarrassed and uncomfortable. She begged Shimuching, "Uncle, don't tell Grandpa and Mom about this. I beg you." Shimuching's eyes deepened, and he said in a hoarse voice, "I like it when you call me uncle under me. If you don't want me to tell my family, you have to listen to me obediently in the future," Shimuching said evilly as his eyes scanned Sher Sinon's body. Sher Sinon couldn't help but cross her arms to cover her chest. She nodded repeatedly. "I'll definitely listen to you, uncle. Don't tell anyone else, uncle." "Good girl." Shimuching smiled wickedly. When Shimuching and Sher Sinon returned to the villa, Ning Shu was having breakfast. Ning Shu just glanced at the two of them indifferently and continued to eat his sandwich. Seeing Sher Sinon's bright and alluring appearance, Ning Shu could guess what had happened. In the end, the two of them were still together. Sher Sinon's character was like this. It seemed that she was born for Shimuching. No matter how much she tried to stop her, she couldn't stop Sher Sinon's heart from pouncing on Shimuching. Ning Shu had thought that since Sher Sinon was the daughter of the original owner of the body, he shouldn't let her and Shimuching get together. Especially after the physical and psychological abuse, Sher Sinon was also quite miserable. But now it seemed that there was no need. Even her own mother had given up. One could imagine how blind Sher Sinon was. Ning Shu didn't care about Sher Sinon now. She was an enemy of the same class as Shimuching, so he wouldn't care about her anymore. When Sher Sinon faced her mother, she felt guilty. She was afraid that Ning Shu would ask her where she had gone yesterday and what had happened. Sher Sinon walked slowly to Ning Shu and called out carefully, "Mom?" Ning Shu grunted. "Let's eat. I'll take you to school after eating." When Sher Sinon heard that Ning Shu was going to send her to that military-style management school, her face instantly darkened. She hurriedly looked at Shimuching. After what had happened between her and Shimuching, she subconsciously regarded Shimuching as the closest person to her. Shimuching said coldly, "Sinon is the eldest daughter of the Sher family. How can she go to that kind of third-rate school? I don't agree." Ning Shu's face was cold. "Whether you agree or not has nothing to do with me. What right do you have to object?" "My relationship with her." Before Shimuching could finish speaking, Sher Sinon interrupted him. "He's my uncle, just my uncle." Shimuching glanced at the flustered Sher Sinon and sneered. Sher Sinon was very afraid that Shimuching would say what had happened between them. She hurriedly changed the topic and looked at Ning Shu pleadingly. "Mom, don't send me to that kind of school again. Please." "You really don't want to go?" Ning Shu asked indifferently. Sher Sinon hurriedly nodded. "Mom, I really don't want to go." "Up to you." Ning Shu wouldn't care about Sher Sinon anymore. Sher Sinon didn't expect Ning Shu to agree so easily. She was stunned for a moment, then she smiled. "Thank you, Mom." As Sher Sinon spoke, she hugged Ning Shu. "Thank you. I love you. What's that smell on you?" Ning Shu pushed Sher Sinon away unceremoniously. Sher Sinon was still a little upset that her mother had pushed her away. She couldn't help but smell her own clothes. She had already showered. How could there still be a smell? Ning Shu finished the milk in her cup, took her bag and went to work. Seeing Ning Shu leave just like that, Sher Sinon called out, "Mom, is there anything else?" Ning Shu turned to look at Sher Sinon. Faced with Ning Shu's indifferent gaze, Sher Sinon felt uncomfortable all over. Her mother's reaction was really too abnormal. You're tuning in to the Passion Page's YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.